noise? Okay. First off, I know I'm gonna have to move you over here. There you go. That's it. This is about to be a whole situation at the end of the day. It's gonna be crazy. But I'm well prepared for this situation. Because I already know this finna be a fun stream. I've been waiting for so long for this moment. And finally, finally we are here. This is something that I've been waiting to happen for years now. My God, man. Can you take that out any less? Good Lord. The amount of sounds. It's like opening a bag of chips. Can you be any louder? It's like you're opening a bag of chips at a meeting and everyone's just staring at you.
But it wasn't working out. It wasn't.
That was the worst possible way to start off this celebration.
It wasn't coordinating properly, so I was just like,
it's nasty behavior.
As quiet as I can, but you know these paper bags aren't quiet, so I just like at the end of it I gave up and I was like, okay. So.
Nasty behavior. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is up? What is good? What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys are enjoying your day. My God.
That's crazy.
What?
I know that whole intro word for word.
That's not a... That's...
That whole thing, I realized I hear it and I mumbled it with you.
I wasn't even noticing that. I wasn't even noticing that.
As soon as you said hello to everybody, right?
Uh-huh.
That part I say, boys and girls.
I'm gonna get back to my show. You wow for that.
All ages.
But anyway, Ravens flock, what's going on? Hope everybody is enjoying this good news. My God, Greg Roman is finally gone. It's time to celebrate. Look at the lights around you. It's time to celebrate. It's time to party. This is exactly what we, the fans, wanted to see. Oh my God. What's going on to everybody in the chat? How are you doing today? We are going to have fun. I have some things I want to show you guys throughout this party. We're going to talk, going to interact with the chat. I'm going to say what I got to say. We're going to speak on some topics that need to be discussed. And we just move on. Yeah, that's my sister in the background. She said she wanted to be here for this, so she just happened to be here in the background. She's actually over here today as opposed to being over here. But it is what it is. Anyway, this is a glorious day. Let me stop with the constant flow of the lights because that was just for the intro. I just wanted to have that there so everyone can understand it's time to party, it's time to celebrate. But let's get down to business. I knew you were going to say that. It was in my mind too, but I understood that I couldn't say it, and you're right there to say it too. But yeah, let's actually get down to business here. Greg Roman is no longer the offensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. After spending 4 years as our offensive coordinator, he is officially gone from Baltimore. Oh my goodness. This is a good thing. My God, I'm so happy that this is the case here. Greg Roman finally being gone. This man's offensive schemes have not been great. Now, of course, we understand and we do want to give credit to Greg Roman and say thank you. Thank you, Greg Roman, for 2019. Thank you, Greg Roman, for 2019. We appreciate what you did in 2019. We're not going to take that away from you. That was a historical year for the Ravens. In terms of the regular season, that was easily the funnest and most exciting season as a Ravens fan. 2019 will not be forgotten, Greg Roman. But with that being said, it's time for you to exit stage left. It's time for you to go. This is something that should have been done years ago. But Unfortunately, we have to keep him here for a couple years, and we saw how that ended up being the case. But the Ravens decided to make that decision. Now, he still had like a year left on his option because he had like a 1-year option left, so they could have chose to bring him back. But from what they say, Roman's the one that went up to them and said, I want to pursue different opportunities. No, I believe they just said, we're not giving you that 1-year option.
It's a classy way of saying we fired you.
Exactly. They're like, we're moving on from you. We're done. But we're going to allow you to have your sort of, we're going to let you go out with your pride. It's mutual. I mean, it's the same thing that happened with Wayne Martindale. They fired him, but they just said mutual interest to move on. No, they fired him. They fired him. They allowed him to they allowed him to go out his way. They gave him his pride and said, we'll let you, quote unquote, resign before we officially fire you, because we're a classy franchise and we don't fire people. We just let their contract expire, or we have a mutual desire to part ways. You know, Pittsburgh does the exact same thing when they want to leave. They'll be like, we have a mutual interest in separating.
Speaking of Pittsburgh, I feel so sorry.
Yeah, Matt Canada's still going to be there. Have fun with that, Pittsburgh.
I'm very sorry.
That's fine with them. Have fun with that, Pittsburgh.
I thought they would finally let that man go.
No.
Guess they're still in the boat.
No, it wasn't gonna happen. It just wasn't gonna happen. But I'm just glad to see Greg Roman is gone. It is official, and it's just time to just move on to something different. Greg Roman brought an interesting perspective here, but with a guy like this, if you looked at his resume and you've seen how he's been as an offensive coordinator in this time, you would see that his shelf life is about 3 years. His shelf life with each team is about 3 years. By year 2, you know, some things start to change, and some things that was working in year 1 is very crazy, because year 1, he just burst on the scene with a new team, and guys and other opponents are just not able to really know what to do regarding that situation. They end up getting caught off guard. Then year 2 comes along, and it's like, okay, now we got an understanding what you like to do, and Greg Roman doesn't really change up his scheme or his system for the most part. So now we got a better understanding of that scheme. We know how to attack it. Year 2, you're like, okay, didn't go the way we wanted it to, but you know what? You're free to have a down year. Year 3, it's like, okay, we might have to consider moving forward, because the exact same thing you ran last year and the year before here, and there's no positive change here. There's no evolution. So by year 3, teams start to really consider Greg Roman gone. It happened in San Francisco. It definitely happened really quick in Buffalo. And in Baltimore, it's finally happened. Only difference is it took us 4 years to make this decision instead of 3. So we gave him that extra year, and I think the main reason we gave him that extra year had to deal with the fact that injuries happened. And for some reason, they just decided, you know what, Lamar Jackson going down 2021 was his biggest factor as to why Greg Roman was still there. Not to mention, again, they don't like firing people. They rather just have their contracts expire and just move on from them. So that was a big part of it in that aspect for the most part. But yeah, you had 4 years of Roman, and it wasn't all bad. In fact, I do have some highlights that we have to go over in terms of the best moments of the offense when it comes to the Ravens, but at least in terms of that 2019 season. But you know, he did what he did, and we're not gonna forget what he did, and it's all cool, for the most part. So yeah, credit to Greg Roman for what he did in Baltimore, but clearly it's time to go in a different direction. That's it for the most part. Clearly it's time to go in a different direction. Yo, do you think you can pronounce my name? No one can ever get it. I'm not an idiot. I know exactly what it sounds like, and I'm not saying it. So, no, I'm not going to fall for that. I'm not 5 years old that's going to fall for that trick. Like, y'all really pull these things up where I know exactly what it sounds like, not saying it. Like, come on, bro. Do better. At least if you had a more clever name, you could actually get somebody. But yours is so easy to understand that no one's going to fall for that. What's going on, Josh? How you doing? I'm going to get into some of these comments here in the chat before we start going into other segments here. Been doing good, Jody. Appreciate you stopping by the chat here to celebrate Greg Roman's departure. Trade for Hopkins and draft Smith. I mean, you could. First of all, we're not going to get into what they should do in terms of getting into the receivers yet. At least not yet. We're gonna probably save that until after the whole Greg Roman thing. But yeah, I would agree. Looking to trade for DeAndre Hopkins, going after some of these free agents, signing a guy, and trying to draft one of these receivers would definitely be the way to go. But we'll save that a little bit later in the segment here. Hey man, what an amazing day it has been. My feeling about the Ravens a turn from depression to fear to excitement and happiness in the span of 24 hours. Yeah, the future did not look the future looked very bleak. It did look very bleak if Greg Roman was going to be here long term, but no longer the case anymore because he is gone. What's going on, Ronnie? Appreciate you stopping by. Bye, Greg Roman. Let the doorknob hit you with a good Lord split you. Amen to that. I'll give you that credit. Amen to that. Let's freaking go. Buy trash Greg Roman. I pray Lamar stays. That is the next step for the Ravens, getting him a long-term deal. But it's crazy how the Ravens flipped the script on us. Never thought they would, but now they got to get someone that will prioritize the passing game. And we'll talk about that too. We will definitely talk about that. Did you hear about Lamar's getting paid too? I mean, that's the expectation. That the Ravens said that in the press conference. Both Eric DeCosta and John Harbaugh says they are looking to put all their focus in on getting Lamar a long-term deal. Utilizing the tag and all that other stuff, they're not focused on that. They want to get him a long-term deal. So we'll see how that goes. All we need is receivers, and man, we're going to do damage. We need receivers, a new offensive coordinator, and to add pieces in the secondary because we have no idea what's going to happen with some of these other guys. May want to add something to the front seven too because you're going to have guys like Marcus Peters, Calais Campbell, Justin Houston. We don't know their future in terms of being in Baltimore moving forward. So those are aspects that are going to be explored mostly through the draft. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes for the most part. In time, you will realize Roman wasn't a problem. Your crybaby quarterback is. That's great. That's great, Chucky. That's fantastic. Good riddance, Greg. I would agree with that, Ronnie. Was hoping we got Bobby Petrino, but apparently he's now with Texans. He doesn't want to come back to the NFL. He's perfectly fine staying in college. But they're saying Lamar is going to help the Ravens find a new offensive coordinator and thus hopefully gives a sign he is coming back. Yeah, they said that. They're going to have Lamar Jackson involved with the search for the new offensive coordinator, which probably plays into the fact that, you know, the contract situation, maybe they're not really fully all in on giving Lamar exactly what he wants. So they're like, we'll give you less to see if you can manage that, but we'll give you the perks of picking your offensive coordinator. You know, businesses like to do that. Like, we'll give you extra vacation days, or you'll get these other perks and benefits, but you're not going to get the paid exactly the way you want to get paid. It's just how business works. But we'll see how they manage it. We'll see how they manage it. I would probably have lost my mind if Greg returned for next season. Honestly, if he returned for next season, I don't know how I'm going to cover this team because I just couldn't take another year Greg Roman. I legitimately couldn't take another year Greg Roman. I don't think a single soul in Baltimore is sad to see him leave. No, there's some Greg Roman fans and some Greg Roman defenders that wanted him to stay. So, I mean, I guess those people are going to either cry about it or just going to have to get on the train and say and understand that Roman's no longer here. Yo, do you think you can... Oh, it's the same guy here. No, he posted it multiple times. That's crazy. 10 different teams looking for an offensive coordinator. Yeah, there's a lot of movements with these coaches here. It's going to be very interesting to see how things are going to go. It's a great day to be a Ravens fan. Absolutely, absolutely. Now the Bungles just need to lose. We'll see what happens. I do have to make my prediction video for tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll see. Have any favorite candidates for the new... Oh, do I have any favorite candidates for the new offensive coordinator spot? I do, but I'm going to save that for a little later for when we get into that segment for the most part. Starting the draft, Devin Witherspoon agenda now. You got to push those agendas. We know it's definitely going to be an agenda that is pushed. We know it's going to be an agenda that is pushed. It's nice to see Roman reunite with Wink in New York. You know what? If he goes to New York, it wouldn't surprise me because New York takes everything Baltimore has and just like it is what it is. The Jets always take our players and the Giants will have our players too. They want to take our coaches. They're free to take our coaches. What's going on, man? I am excited about the offseason now. Go Ravens. Yeah, we'll see what happens for the most part. Then you got your classic trolls. Yeah, yada, yada, yada. Roman in Tampa Bay would be scary. Fournette running the ball with that elite receiver group. Quarterback would be the weak link if Brady isn't back. You want to have Greg Roman there as your offensive coordinator with Tom Brady as your quarterback? Is he going to be the running coordinator there or your offensive coordinator? Because he can't be the offensive coordinator with Tom Brady as his quarterback. That is an awful fit. If he's just going to manage the run game, sure. But if he's going to be the offensive coordinator and play caller, Brady's not going to take that crap. You don't play with Brady with that. It's just not going to work out. Here's to firing Brandon Staley. The NFL needs to celebrate when this man is gone. It doesn't look like the Chargers are going to do that, so we'll see how that goes. Time for Harbaugh to go too. Honestly, we're gonna get into that too, but I don't see him going this year. But in the near future, it looks like it's coming. It looks like it's coming. It definitely looks like it's coming. A report just came out that Greg Roman has one more year on this deal. Yeah, he had one more year. It was a 1-year option that the Ravens could have choose to take in, but they're not going to, and Greg Roman's gone. So we ain't got to worry about that. Shout out to Demon Reacts. Appreciate the love and support, man. How you feel about the NBA season outside of the Heat? Since we've been in January, it's been a crazy upscore. A crazy upscore of offensive scoring in the NBA. A lot of people putting up a lot of points. I mean, the craziest one has to be Donovan Mitchell scoring 71 points. That was a crazy game. You're just getting a lot. You're just getting a lot, bro. You're getting a lot. You're getting a lot, which is the scoring's fantastic. It's making things interesting. You got a lot of people in the MVP race. I love what I'm seeing with Luka. Jokic is really doing his thing as well. Obviously, Joel Embiid is just being dominant. You're looking at Jason Tatum, who's in the conversation as well. You got a lot of combatants in the MVP conversation.
Madness that they'll go test him if they do so well in the game.
Yeah, that happened to John Morant, which I'm not surprised they would do that. Yeah, you got a lot of good teams. Eastern Conference pretty much looks like it's going to be between Boston, Milwaukee, and maybe the Brooklyn Nets, but we have to see what happens with Kevin Durant. He has to get healthy, and we'll see how that goes for the most part. But past that, no one in the Eastern Conference is really looking to be that team to compete for the most part. And then we'll see what happens with the West, because, I mean, I have to see that Warriors get healthy, and I believe if the Warriors are healthy, you're not beating them 4 times in a 7-game series. It's just not happening. But we'll see. Other than that, the Nuggets are at the top of the West right now, and you do got some teams like the Utah Jazz, which are an interesting team, but they're not at the top like that anymore. And then you got the Memphis Grizzlies that are looking to try and redeem themselves from what happened last year in the playoffs. You got some interesting teams. And, of course, you got the Clippers, which they're not playing as great as you want them to. But we do understand that Kawhi is not playing back-to-backs, and Paul George's been dealing with injuries. So, yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on in the NBA. We could definitely get into it for the most part. But we'll just have to see how the season progresses, which I'll definitely be paying attention to, especially once the NFL season ends. But, yeah, I appreciate that question, Brent. I appreciate that question, Demon. If Roman can't run Baltimore properly, how could he run Tampa Bay? Yeah, he's not going to deal with that. And Tom Brady's not going to deal with that. I wonder what coach they hire that could work with Lamar. They have some options. Can't wait for the Lamar trade. I mean, Brent, you've been wishing on the Ravens' downfall for a long time, so I'm not surprised to see you say this. And again, I have no clue if he's going to get traded or if he's going to be here long term. Whatever happens is whatever happens. I'm just going to, as a Ravens fan, I hope for the best. Hopefully they can get a deal done. But if it doesn't happen and they trade him, we'll just have to see what the next era of Baltimore football is going to look like. I believe he's going to be here long term, but we'll just have to see how things go. Y'all keep Lamar. I want to see y'all win a chip with Lamar. I hope that will be the future for us. But, we got to get someone new and see how it goes. I don't want Chip Kelly here. Watch Robert Saleh get fired and Roman become the Jets offensive coordinator. That would be nasty. But they like Saleh, so I don't see that happening for the most part. Now everyone on the sports channels can shut up about Lamar leaving Baltimore. That will still be the talk until he gets an actual deal. Until Lamar gets a full-on extension, the talks are going to be that he's going to leave. Hell, they were talking about it today. Because Greg Roman got fired, if you were watching some of the other sports channels, they were just saying that it's a possibility now that Greg Roman's gone, the Ravens may be looking to move on from Lamar Jackson. So they're not going to shut up about it until Lamar either gets traded or the Ravens give him a long-term deal. Because even if they put him on a franchise tag, the conversation is going to happen. So this is not going to end until Lamar either gets traded or gets his long-term deal. So one or the other has to happen. So we'll see what happens. No team should want Roman anywhere near them, considering how the league isn't run first anymore. He runs an old philosophy. I mean, he's good as a running coordinator. If you need to fix up your running game, it wouldn't be a bad thing. But offensive coordinator, have him be the lead player caller, I wouldn't want that to be the case. I just wouldn't want that to be the case. That's just how I would look at it for the most part. But we'll see. We'll just see how that progresses for the most part. You should make a mock draft. I may look to make a mock draft this year. We'll see, though. I'll have time and see if I want to do that. Let's see if DeCosta drafts a wide receiver as a number 1 pick this time. I don't know if he's going to use that first-round pick on the receiver. Might look to fix up another aspect, but we'll see. Miami doesn't need to get a quarterback, and Falcons are always going to be an irrelevant franchise. Oh, because, Brandon's over here just saying that Lamar Jackson's going to be traded. That's his agenda that he's pushing. What is true, whether it happens or not, we'll have to see. But Brandon's pushing his own agenda, so that's kind of just how it is. The Brandon's going to push his agenda until it just is either right or wrong, so that's just how it is. But, we don't know what's going to happen. Brandon's not entirely wrong in his statement. Until Lamar Jackson signed, what he's saying is one of the possibilities. So, if he gets signed, Brandon's going to be like, okay, well, he signed long term. If he doesn't get signed, the speculations are going to continue. So, Brandon's free to say whatever he wants. I don't know what's going on with the West teams. You expect to be contending. The teams you were expecting to contend in the West aren't doing so good. A lot of it has to really deal with injuries. Because you got guys that are injured and guys that haven't been playing. Like, Steph was injured for a while before he came back. And then with the Clippers, again, Kawhi doesn't play back-to-backs. And Paul George has also been dealing with injuries as well. So you're looking at some of the teams. And then, of course, Phoenix. Devin Booker's been out for some time. CP3's been in and out of the lineup. It's just how it is. There's just been teams in the Western Conference that you expect to compete. But injuries have been showing up. Injuries have been showing up for the most part. So that's kind of just how it is. But you'll just have to see how things go for the most part. And that's just how it is. Cliff Kingsbury to the Ravens? Nah, I got some guys in mind, but I don't want Kingsbury to the Ravens. What made you a Ravens fan? I became a Ravens fan right around 04, 05. I have a jersey hanging up there from Willis McGahee. That was a jersey I got long ago. And since then, I've been a Ravens fan, but I've been watching them since I've been really, really young. So that's kind of just how it's been. I've been a long-term Ravens fan. So I got that Ravens because I was always watching Washington and Baltimore. I was watching both their games, and I had to pick one. And because I got that jersey, I just ended up becoming a Ravens fan for the most part. And the Ravens were more consistent. Not to mention they had my favorite player to watch at the time, Ed Reed. So I just ended up becoming a Ravens fan. I still show love and support to to Washington, and I would hope one day, they could actually be great. Because, my God, they haven't been great in my lifetime. And I'm hopeful one day they'll be good. But that's just how it is. I'm stubborn with that, and I'm not going to get off that.
It hasn't been great in my life.
They can discuss about re-signing MP. Hopefully, he comes back on a one-year deal. We'll see. Where's the go-away party for Greg? We already had that go-away party. We had it at his house. So he should be heading out soon, though. But he should be heading out. They're trying to get him extension. Doesn't mean they will get him one. Yeah, we know. The possibilities are there. No one's saying anything is 100% in stone. Like I said, Brandon, you're entitled to your opinion. If he gets traded, he gets traded. If he doesn't get traded, so be it. But, no one's specifically saying Lamar is guaranteed there. Right now, we're just dealing with percentages and chances. You believe he's going to be traded, he's going to be gone. If that happens, so be it. A lot of us believe Lamar and the Ravens can still get a job done. And if it doesn't happen, they'll probably franchise tag him. If it doesn't work out, he'll end up going the Kirk Cousins route, and eventually he'll go somewhere else. That's kind of just how it is at the end of the day. How does today affect your take on Lamar staying with the Ravens? That's a good question. I was 60-40 yesterday and 80-20 today on him staying versus leaving. Good to hear Lamar and EDC have been talking recently. Prior to yesterday, prior to today, yesterday, I was about a good 60-65% chance that he was going to stay in Baltimore. I think the possibility of him being franchise tagged was definitely on the table. But, with Greg Roman still being here, I just didn't see if Lamar would want to be here and deal with that. Because Lamar's not the only one that's been, indirectly taking shots at Greg Roman's offense. Former players, current players, they've done that. No receiver wants to be in that system. So we've seen shots being taken. And if you've watched Lamar this year, if you've seen him on the field and on the sideline, when it comes to some of these play calls, Lamar is visibly angry and pissed off with some of the things they're running. So because of that, I looked at that and said, hey, I don't think he wants to play in Greg Roman's system. So if they don't move on from him, that's a sign that they're going to choose Roman over Lamar. But because of today, them moving on from him, and then in the press conference, you got DeCosta and Harbaugh saying they want him to be here, making that declaration, he is the quarterback for us of the future. We're going to do everything we can to get him signed. That is our guy moving forward. Because of that, and also them saying he's going to be involved in the choosing of the offensive coordinator, I would move my 60 to about 75-80%. The possibility of him being traded is on the table, but I see that being very low. What most likely will happen is he'll be franchise tagged while they continue to work on getting him a long-term deal. But we'll see if that ends up being the case. That's just it at the end of the day. But we'll see. I was 60% yesterday. I'm about 75-80% today. Greg Roman for the Chargers? No. Don't do Justin Herbert like that. No. Unless he's going to be there as a running coordinator, but not the offensive coordinator. He can be a running coordinator, but not the offensive coordinator. You're not about to do Justin Herbert like that. No. This move feels like a Super Bowl win. I mean, I get where you guys are coming from, but we do want to aim higher. We do want to aim higher than having our offensive coordinator getting fired being the same as winning a Super Bowl. It's a moment to celebrate. It's definitely a moment to celebrate, but yeah, let's not act like it's all of a sudden we got to throw a legitimate party the way you would if the team won a Super Bowl. It is what it is. Till further notice, the Nuggets may come out of the West. Warriors maybe, but they're struggling right now with the East. It's either Milwaukee or, heaven forbid, Boston. It most like I believe in Milwaukee because I love Giannis and I believe in what Giannis and that team can do. And again, I felt that if Middleton was healthy last year, they would have won that series. They went to 7 without Middleton, so with Middleton this year, I believe they can win. Boston wouldn't be surprised if they got there. They beat my team, so then again, I'm going to go to my grave saying this: if Jimmy Butler hits that 3, we're going to the finals. But I'm gonna let that go. I'm gonna just let that go. As for the Nuggets coming out of the West, the Nuggets haven't proven that they can have that level of consistent success in the postseason against some of the top-tier teams. And yeah, the Warriors, they're struggling right now, but you cannot convince me that a healthy Steph Curry, a healthy Klay Thompson, a healthy Jordan Poole, a healthy Draymond Green, a healthy Wiggins, you cannot convince me that overall group, that overall core, can be beaten 4 times in the playoff series. They're struggling right now, but we're in January. Playoffs ain't going to start till May. They got plenty of time to get it together. And Steph just recently got back. So if they can get healthy, no one's beating that Warriors team 4 times in 2 weeks. It's just not happening. I just don't see that team beaten 4 times. So, no. I just don't. But yeah, Milwaukee, Giannis is definitely one of the best players in the league, if not the best player in the league today. So I look at the Milwaukee Bucks and say that's definitely the team that I think could probably go to the finals. But I mean, I know what Boston is capable of. I got a clear look at exactly what Boston is capable of for a long 7-game series. So I know Boston could definitely be the team to get back to the finals. How would you feel about the 76er owner Joshua Harris potentially buying the Commanders? I wonder what impact that would cause. Honestly, anybody that's better than what you have now. I want this man out of Washington. I don't care who becomes the other owner. Just get this man out of Washington and we'll go from there. Divisional round predictions, I will have those out tomorrow, so be on the lookout. But I will definitely have those tomorrow. Dan Orlovsky shot down a lot of narratives about Lamar's style of play today on ESPN. You should check it out. I should probably look at it. For the most part, I probably could find it. Let me see. Because for the most part, I know a lot of people were definitely going at Lamar Jackson and his playing style because now that Greg Roman's gone, a lot of people are like, oh, he can't do this and he can't do that, and it's just like these people really never paid attention to Lamar Jackson in college, which it clearly shows. It clearly shows.
This guy was brought up in an all-pro scheme in college. It floats their head.
But it is what it is at the end of the day. You know, people are going to say what they want to say. People are definitely going to say what they want to say, and it is what it is at the end of the day. You know, I'm not surprised to hear some of the things that people are saying about Lamar Jackson. It's been here his entire career. I'm pretty sure he's already gotten used to it. He may not like it, you know. He may think of it as annoying. He's probably tired of it, but this is definitely something that, you know, he's dealt with throughout his career, and it's something he's just going to continue to deal with in his career. It's just there. It's just there. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but it's just something he himself knows he's going to have to deal with, which, you know, you kind of just you take it on the chin, you just move on. That's kind of just how things go for the most part. It is what it is at the end of the day. You know, that's just how things go. But, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. Non-exclusive tag makes no sense to me. The Ravens will be forcing themselves to either match a fully guaranteed contract that they never were willing to give or get a horrible return for later. Based on what they said, they're not looking to even get to that point. They got 2 months to get this contract done. So we'll see what happens there. If they were to put a tag on him, it should be the regular tag. I would hope it would be the case. Who do you want from the AFC and NFC to win the Super Bowl this year? Well, I mean, one team can only win. But, I mean, who would I want to see? If the AFC could win, who would I pick? If the NFC would win, who I'd pick? Honestly, I don't really care who wins. It's not my team. That's me as a Ravens fan. I don't give a damn who wins. It's not the Ravens. But as a sports fan, from the NFC, I really like the Niners team. They're such a fun team. And they just go to show, like, good coaching. You don't have to have a top-tier quarterback to get all the way. I would love to see Philly also. Like, between Philly, it's legitimately between Philly and San Francisco for the Super Bowl championship, because I would love to see Jalen Hurts win a Super Bowl just to prove that style of play can work and that type of quarterback can win a championship. So I wouldn't mind that. But San Francisco's such a fun team, and they got a lot of great players there that I wouldn't mind. So the Niners or the Eagles, I'm cool with either one of those teams winning the Super Bowl if they were to get there. In the AFC, the only team I'm really looking at towards being interesting, or at least a team that I feel like could definitely go all the way, is the Bills. I do like the assembly of the Bills as a team. I do have some concerns for the Bills offense. I don't like that Josh Allen is turning the ball over so much. It's becoming a problem. And their running game has always been an issue for them. They've never really gotten that settled down, so I don't like that. But I do like their defense. I do like their coaching, and I would love to see a situation like that. If it wasn't the Bills, honestly, I don't want to see Kansas City back there, and I certainly don't want to see Cincinnati there. So if the Jaguars can pull that mess off and actually get to the Super Bowl, that will be a hell. That will be a hell of a picks right there. So honestly, I'm taking the Bills for the most part, number one. But if the Bills weren't able to make it there, I would love to see Jacksonville somehow get to the Super Bowl on some magical run, because that would just be so cool to see. Because that Jacksonville team over the last several games, as they fought to get into the playoffs, they were a really, really interesting team, and I would love to see a team like that be able to get to the Super Bowl. That would be awesome. With the way coming back down 27-0 in the playoffs, that's a magical thing to happen. And if they were to get to the Super Bowl, this would be one hell of a story to write. Definitely be one hell of a story to write. The Ravens roster is pretty complete if they retain Lamar. Only holes will be as receiver and corner. Yep. You think Roquan is the next Ray? That's going too far. Let's not make those type of comparisons. Maybe a few depth pieces of guard if Powell leaves, and D-line if Campbell retires. Yeah, you got a couple pieces that you'll have to fix, but for the most part, the wide receiver position should be the main focus. I find it cool that all quarterbacks left in the playoffs are all under 30 years old. Yeah, it's a new era. It's a new era of football. The old guys are starting to go away. So I agree with a lot of people about Lamar, because I've seen how great he is. I mean, you don't become one of two unanimous MVP playing quarterbacks without knowing how to throw. I mean, that's always been the easiest thing to understand, but people have their own personal agendas and their own way of belief towards Lamar. And I've already said at this stage of his career, you either believe in this style or you don't. It's as simple as that. So there's no in between. There's no in between. You're not picking the Bengals because they're a divisional rival. I mean, that's definitely one of the factors. That's definitely one of the factors. As a Raven fan, I refuse to pick them. Objectively, I think Cincinnati has a really great chance to get to the playoffs. They definitely have battle experience. If they somehow beat the Bengals and they go to Kansas City, I think Kansas City's in trouble. So I think that could be the case. But I personally am picking the Bills in this situation. Anyone but the Bengals or Eagles? That's interesting, though. Never seen someone get criticized for no reason like Lamar. I mean, I've seen LeBron get criticized for pretty much his entire career. And a lot of times he's getting criticized, it was just for no reason, just because he's LeBron. But, it is what it is. Imagine the Jaguars going from the worst team to the best team. That would be a hell of a story. I'd rather see Kansas City in the Super Bowl again than Cincy. Yeah, I don't want to see a divisional rival in the Super Bowl, so I would take Kansas City if it came down to those two. People think Lamar is just a running quarterback because they've seen him juke grown men out of their cleats, but Lamar is honestly a top 5 thrower of the football, and hope he gets the right offensive coordinator. Top 5 thrower could be a bit of a stretch based on what you've seen, but he definitely is a great thrower. Now, if you give him weapons and you put him in a great scheme, then we could really test out that top 5 thrower, and I think that could be showcased even more. I'm good with any team winning the Super Bowl as long as it's not the Bengals. Yeah, as a Ravens fan, you wouldn't want that, so I see where you're coming from. What if we get a Burrow versus Lawrence rematch in the AFC Championship game? Then I'm going full-on Trevor Lawrence. No question asked. Now, that one would actually be very interesting because both of them were very successful in college, and both of them are winners, and both of them won the national championship. So, these two guys fighting at it to get to the Super Bowl, these two guys are the number 1 picks, would be perfectly fine. What type of scheme would you like Lamar to play in? I've always said I want Lamar to play in a spread offense. I wanted to play in a spread offense. That's what I've said for a long time, and I'm going to keep it that way for the most part. So, yeah, Greg Roman is gone, and yeah, my stance on Greg Roman's been very interesting, though. I actually have some things I'm going to share here for the most part that I kind of want to have here. So I got a bunch of videos I have here because I did say I wanted to talk about this. When it came to the Greg Roman situation, it's very interesting because a lot of people originally, when you're on my channel, a lot of you guys see me when it comes to my talks on Greg Roman, and you guys just assume that I've been a Greg Roman hater from the beginning. Like, I've shown some serious hate towards Greg Roman, and I've been wanting him gone for at least a couple years now. And the understanding at that time, well, the understanding now is that I'd want him gone, but in the beginning, I've been very fair and objective. I've always tried to say I've been fair and objective, but a lot of people have said I've been very aggressive. I've been very aggressive to Greg Roman in terms of my desire to see him gone. And honestly, it never really started out like that. What happened to your video game streams like last year? It was still there. I mean, I was still streaming during some of these games and commentary. I guess you weren't there in that stream for when I was actually doing 2K. You probably weren't there at the time. But yeah, people originally thought that I was like legitimately a hater of Greg Roman, and that's not the case. I actually had to go look at the film. I wanted to go look at the film and see if that really was the case. Was I really considered a Greg Roman hater when he first became an offensive coordinator? And before I actually looked this up, I would say no, I would not consider myself a Greg Roman hater. I considered myself very fair and objective. Like I said, I was willing to give him a chance originally, but people didn't believe me at the time. People did not believe me at the time. So I actually went and pulled up the film in terms of how I kind of felt about Greg Roman. So I actually had to go through my channel. Now, I'm not going to look at every single moment that I've talked about Greg Roman on this channel, because that's 4 years worth of talking about Greg Roman. But I did want to point out how my objective or my position on Greg Roman changed. Like, I do want to talk about how originally how I felt about Greg Roman and how it changed throughout the years, and you could like visibly see that being the case. So I'm actually going to play some videos here. Let me see if I can change my screen here. Let me see if I can change my screen here, because like I want to be able to showcase this for the most part. Because people thought originally I was the type of person that I just didn't like Greg Roman, when that wasn't the case from day one. So I want to keep that on the record. People always said I'm not, like, there are people that come out and say I'm not objective when it came to Greg Roman, and I'm too hard and I blame him for everything. Originally, I was one to give him his credit and be fair and objective with it. So I do have a couple videos I want to show. Let me see if I can actually pull this up for the most part. Not going to show all of this, but I do remember, this is like, what is this? This is, what is it? January 11th, 2019. So this was the offseason. This was shortly after we got eliminated from the playoffs in 2018. That was Lamar Jackson's rookie year. When Greg Roman was first promoted to the Ravens offensive coordinator, I had some things to say about that. And I felt at the time I was very objective. So I'm going to play this here for the most part. Let me see. Man, that's a terrible way to start off a video.
It's been a while since I've...
By the way, can we just talk about my setup here and how nasty this is? First of all, the camera looks awful because I was filming...
The Galaxy?
Yeah, that's my old Galaxy phone that was half broken that I was filming this on. So the camera's nasty. I was still using these glasses because back in 2018 I had these shades that I actually broke in one of the games. I think it was one of the Ravens-Steelers games.
Mind you, we don't have a calendar up there
Yeah.
anymore.
I put that calendar up there to have something in the background.
Oh, you put that?
Yes.
Where you take it out the bathroom?
I took it somewhere. I don't remember where, but I put it up here because I wanted something on my screen. Like, I felt that I needed to have something here. But yeah, just look at the setup of this. Like, legitimately, look how much we've changed.
That's out there.
Yeah, look how much time has changed.
You completely just you started watching the video and then just went on a whole different.
Yeah, like legitimately, look how much time has changed since this situation. It's crazy how much we've been able to change things here, for the most part. Anyway, there's something I wanted to take out of this for the most part, which I'm not exactly sure.
I know that for sure. But
yeah, buddy, why are you?
I'm here. Let's make some videos. Let's see how this goes.
What is wrong with
so unprofessional.
Yes, buddy, it is.
They demoted Marty Morningweg and offered him a place as a passing coordinator. I don't know what the heck a passing coordinator is. Like, we're one of the only few franchises I look around with, like,
oh
right,
yeah, I did rant about that. I remember making this video. I was very tired, right?
I'm not even gonna fade. What's a passing coordinator? disappointed.
I
You
legit-
disrespected that man
Legit.
bad.
That's what I was saying. I was tired and I was thinking, like, what the hell is a passing coordinator? Like, just say you want to demote me to one of the lower level positions. Like,
Brandon,
really?
You're a passing coordinator. You're a run. Like, what are you talking? What is a passing coordinator?
I don't know, bro.
What? Man, we're one of those franchises that'll just come up with random names.
We would.
and stuff just to keep people on staff.
That's just what we do.
Whatever. Anyway, Marty was like, I'm not about to take this. I don't know what a passing coordinator is, and I'm not about to
wasn't
find
gonna
out.
take that.
Y'all just
He
keep
really
me away
wasn't.
from the offensive coordinator. I'm just gonna find another job.
They
somewhere
were.
else.
They were
he
at the
said
time.
Deuces. He's gone. So Greg Roman's now the offensive coordinator for the Ravens, and people are celebrating. A lot of people are celebrating just because Marty's gone. Mostly because Marty gone, and
I feel like I was very
partly
optimistic
because
with
of
Greg Roman. I gave him a
Now,
chance.
I don't know what Greg Roman himself is going to be able to get accomplished. He is, though, pretty much, I believe, mostly responsible for a lot of the creative run plays we saw in his offense during the short streak of time we got to see them play.
Yeah.
And I do believe with
2018
him
was.
having the keys now to the offense, he'll allow a lot more creative passing plays, and it'll be a real.
Now, that one I was just straight up wrong. That one I was just straight up wrong. I gave him a chance. I said with Greg Roman, he would be able to come in and get us some creative passing plays. I truly thought at that moment, Greg Roman, I didn't say he would be great. I didn't even say he was going to be fantastic. But I did say he was going to come in and help as a new offensive coordinator. He was going to come in and help improve the passing game, coming up with creative passing schemes. And technically, I was right. I want to point it out. Technically, I was very right. I was very right in 2019. Past 2019, I have no excuses. I honestly could not give you any excuses for what Greg Roman did. But I feel like I was very objective. I was very objective, bro. This is me in 2019. This is before Greg Roman became the full offense coordinator. This video is basically me saying, let's give him a chance. So back in 2019, you can see in the video, I was very optimistic. He's going to come in and help out with some of the creative passing plays.
Lamar Jackson. We saw what he was able to do with Colin Kaepernick those 3 years in San Francisco from 2011 to 2014. So I do believe if he can incorporate quite the amount of those plays for Lamar Jackson and add more and truly be able to utilize his abilities, then next year is going to be quite interesting to see this offense. I think next year the offense is definitely going to be evolved from what it is. It'll be a lot less run happy and a lot more spread offense, play action, pass.
I was very wrong with that too. That is two things I was incredibly wrong. I felt like I gave Greg Roman way too much credit. Because again, I was watching a lot of Lamar Jackson film, and I said the best way to play Lamar Jackson is in the spread offense where you can really utilize him in the play action passing game. That's the most effective way to utilize him. And I thought Roman would be able to come in and help out with that. I was very optimistic. I tried to give Greg Roman the benefit of the doubt. So I said, yeah, he would come in and he would help out with the play action passing game. He would definitely be effective in that, and he would help out and put us in more of a spread offense. I thought that'd be the case. I was wrong. I apologize for that. But again, for 2019, he made me look right. 2019, he definitely made me look right. It was a solid take at the time. Thank you. At the time, getting Greg Roman, knowing what he did with Colin Kaepernick and the Niners, I thought, okay, the Ravens know how Lamar Jackson plays because they had to have watched his time in Louisville. So you can incorporate him in the spread offense, get that play action passing going, and do that. Instead, the Ravens decided to go more heavy set RPO type plays, and that never really got remotely close to what I thought it would be. You think Greg would have another opportunity in the NFL? Absolutely. Absolutely. Someone's going to look at him as a running coordinator. And because of what he did with Lamar Jackson in his resume, someone's going to give him another chance. But yeah, this was me when he first when he first became our offensive coordinator. So that was my mindset. And here's me a year later. It doesn't really go too much into it, but this is one of my legendary rant videos. It was the loss that happened after the divisional round between the Ravens and Titans. So at this time, I still felt relatively optimistic with Greg Roman, and I didn't really get on his case here because this was a game where the players really messed up as opposed to Greg Roman's scheme costing us.
I guess lastly, coaching.
First of all, I'm rocking that old Willis McGahee jersey right there. That's 1. 2, this is the camera improved. You can see the improvement of the camera. I didn't have the Galaxy at this time. I think I actually got an iPhone, I think, at the time.
This iPhone?
Yeah, because this is like 2020 at this point. Because, 2020, because we lost January 2020, so I had the iPhone by then. But yeah, my camera is improved.
Greg Roman.
True, the red hat too.
I honestly don't know what to say,
Mm-hmm.
but the play calling, I can't even say the play calling was bad. We started out doing our usual play calls, but then we got down 14, so you just started doing verticals the whole game, and it just really, that was all you really could do. There's no adjustments you could have made.
Yeah.
Because honestly,
They
the
panicked.
players playing so bad, I don't know what scheme Greg Roman could have thought of that would have helped us get back in the game.
So you see at that moment here, this is after the playoff loss. After the playoff loss, I was still optimistic about Greg Roman's scheme. And in fact, I thought Greg Roman at the time wasn't the main catalyst of that divisional round loss. What is going up to my guys at the lunch break? Hot take. Appreciate you guys stopping by. We're going down memory lane, and I'm just looking at some of my old takes regarding Greg Roman, because a lot of people said when it came to me, I was like one of the biggest Greg Roman haters, and I never gave him a chance. When that was never the case, I gave him a chance. And I'm just going through the film. When I first heard him being the offensive coordinator, I thought that he could come in and help improve this offense for the most part. The voice sounds different at the time. Yeah, I was like, I think it was 20? I was 18 or 19 when I made that first video of Greg Roman being the offensive coordinator. And then this is me around 19, 20. I'm 23 now, so like obviously you grow and you change. We never liked Giro. I was willing to give him a chance. 2020? It was January 2020, so I was like 19, 20. Not July of 2020. I'd be 21 in July of 2020. So,
20.
yeah, I was 20. Yeah, I was 20.
Yeah, you were 20.
Yeah, so, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of Greg Roman from the beginning. I was just willing to give him a chance to see what he was do. Yeah, I wasn't a Greg Roman fan. I would have preferred someone else, but I did say Greg Roman would be better than what we saw this rookie year, and maybe if he's able to build off of that and do what he did in San Francisco, maybe it would be able to work. And I was correct. I'm 23 now, but I was correct in the offense the following year being a lot more evolved from what we saw in 2018, and that did happen. What I was incorrect on was what type of scheme they would run. I thought they'd run more of a spread offense because I watched a lot of Lamar Jackson film, and I said the spread offense would be the best way to play Lamar Jackson. That would be the best fit for him. Do a lot of play action and run the spread with him. They chose to do a lot of heavy set formations and RPOs, utilize the tight ends and running backs. That's not what I thought was going to happen, so I was definitely wrong in that aspect. And then in the playoff game here, for the most part, I'm sitting here and I'm saying the players didn't show up. And no matter how much you want to sit back and blame Greg Roman, the players didn't show up in that game. I'm pretty sure I go on and on in this video about the players not showing up either.
Who knows? Maybe the Ravens should have just continued to play their game. Maybe they should have held on to the football, which they obviously couldn't do today. I don't know what Greg Roman really could have done to scheme up a better game plan. The players just played like absolute garbage. I don't even know if I could blame him for that. Wink Martindale, I could blame you for that because your defense didn't. You knew what Derrick Henry was, and they couldn't stop the run.
Yeah, I actually got very brutal after this. I was brutal in the beginning. Like I was brutal. I started out with the offense. No, I think I started out with the defense, then went into the offense, and then went into coaching. No, I think I did defense, special teams, offense, coaching. Or maybe it was offense, special teams, defense, coaching, whatever it was. Either way, I made sure I was specific in who got what blame. But yeah, at this time, after the loss against the Titans, hi there, hope you guys get the offensive coordinator you want. I hope we Broncos can get Sean Payton. Appreciate you stopping by, man. Appreciate you stopping by, Dakota. Best of luck. Hopefully you guys are able to get Sean Payton. We'll see. That could definitely change up. If you can get Sean Payton there with Russell Wilson, you will definitely have a chance to have a better season than what you had now. Greg Roman should be hired by the Texans. I don't know if the Texans would want that. This is legit better than those two playoff wins. I feel where you're coming from. Yeah, him being gone definitely just is a sign of relief. But yeah, at the time, after the playoff loss in 2020 when we lost to the Titans, I sat back and said, you know what? He's not all to blame. What's going on, Legendary? Appreciate you stopping by, chilling out here in the stream. Glad to see you've been in a good mood. Yeah, I'm chilling out. I'm having fun. I'm been chilling out, been relaxing, been having fun for the most part. But yeah, with this video, at the time, I didn't blame Roman for the playoff loss against the Titans because there were drops everywhere, turnovers happening, defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, Derrick Henry ran all over us. I just said the players didn't show up. Coaching, now, when it came to Greg Roman, the only thing I criticized him for was the inability to make adjustments. But past it, I said, what scheme could he scheme up if the guys aren't catching the football? So I didn't really put too much blame on Greg Roman for the Titans loss. But this is a year later, and you're starting to see that I do have some things to say here. So Originally, I start off by giving Greg Roman a chance here, say he could do a lot of things for us. A year later, after that season, we see what happens in the playoffs. I'm like, okay, there's some things here that he's showing, and not the inability to make adjustments. That's definitely a problem. Now let's go to a year later after the loss against the Bills. What do I got to say about Greg Roman here?
Let's actually talk about the man who actually calls a play. Greg Roman. Greg Roman, you have been a thorn in the Ravens fan base side for such a long time. I think the Ravens need to come to a decision as to what to do with you moving forward. Either one of two things need to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Either you get a passing coordinator to only call the passing plays and don't let Greg Roman call a single pass play in his life again.
Okay.
Or you just flat out fire this dude.
Yeah.
Fire this dude, have a fresh start, see what you can do.
All right, so you can see there's definitely a change up at that point. In 2019, January 2019, I felt that Greg Roman could come in here and do some things that can help out the team, and I think the offense could be great. After the divisional loss in 2020, my mindset changed. Oh, Engraven, what's going on, Engraven? Appreciate you stopping by. You going down memory lane? Yeah, I'm going down memory lane because a lot of people sat back and said I wasn't, especially last year in some of the streams, they were saying I was very unfair. And even on Twitter, they were saying I was very unfair with my assessment for Greg Roman being fired. And they always thought I was on the side of fire Greg Roman. And I'm just showcasing that at this time, no, I wasn't on the side of fire Greg Roman. Originally, when he was signed, I was optimistic, and I said, let's give him a chance. Let's give him an opportunity to see what he can do. And the one thing I said there was, I believe he could turn this offense into something special the following season, and he did in 2019. What I was wrong on was how they were going to do it. I said put him in the spread offense, run play action. They put him in a heavy set fill offense, and they ran a lot of RPOs, and that's what they did, and they tried to work that, and that was not what I said they should do, but we saw how that worked out in the long run. So you see my mindset change. After the divisional loss to the Titans, I sat back and said, Greg Roman's not to blame in terms of play calling, but he has to be accountable for not making the proper adjustments. Then after the loss against the Bills, I'm virtually done with this man. So you see, as the years went on, Greg Roman started to wane on me. What's going on, Joe? How you doing, man? Appreciate you stopping by. So, he legitimately started to wane on me. And as that started to happen, it got worse and worse given the circumstances, which led us to 2021, where I wanted him gone for the most part. And at that point, I'm like, yeah, he's got to go. But, they choose to keep him here, and it is what it is at the end of the day. I'm doing good, Joe. I'm doing good. Appreciate you stopping by. So, yeah, things kind of progressed to the point where it was like, we need Greg Roman gone. And he wasn't gone in 2021, and it was miserable. And by 2022, this season, I was already fed up, and I already said if Greg Roman was here for the 2022 season, we were not going to win a Super Bowl. And that's exactly what happened. We didn't win the Super Bowl. And it was a miserable end to the season. And it was a very painful season for the most part because of all the drama and everything that happened. So, yeah. But, yeah, that was pretty much my stance on Greg Roman. Originally, when I started off, when I talked about him for the first, that's not what I'm here for. These are other stuff here. I'll showcase that later. But originally, when I started off, I said Greg Roman should be given a fair chance, and let's see what he can do with the offense. I gave him a chance. I was very optimistic as to what he could do with his offense. After the divisional loss, I didn't blame him for the loss. I blamed the players for the loss because they didn't show up. I did hold Greg Roman accountable for not making the proper adjustments, but I didn't say his play calling was a problem. After the loss against the Bills, I was virtually done with this man. Because throughout that season, I was calling out Greg Roman's offense. And the fact that you had Lamar Jackson say people are reading our play calls, that got to a point where I'm like, I'm basically done with this guy. We need to start looking for a new offensive coordinator. But we kept him here for 2 years after this video was made. So what the hell do I know? But yeah, I was never a huge Greg Roman hater. It just happened progressively. It just happened progressively for the most part. So that's kind of just the case here. But, Greg Roman wasn't terrible during his time here. He is gone. He will not be missed. We are happy that he's no longer here. But at the end of the day, Greg Roman wasn't an awful coordinator. They were reading our plays. Yeah, Lamar went on the Rich Eisen show. I believe it was in 2020, and he was on the Rich Eisen show, and he said that he heard defensive players calling out the play they were going to run before they ran it. Because our play calling was so predictable, people were able to call out our plays as we're about to run it. And there's no way he can make the change because, again, we were so terrible at managing the play clock that Lamar had no chances to make adjustments, so you just had to snap the ball. Greg Roman is the best coordinator of all time. Well, he could take himself to another team and let's see him be the best coordinator on another franchise. He's no longer here in Baltimore. But yeah, you saw progressively my mindset changed on him. Again, originally I was optimistic. I didn't blame him for the loss against the Titans. By the Bills' loss in the divisional round, I was virtually done with this man. We had him here for another 2 years, and now he's gone. So there's so much more. There's so much more that goes into that. But, man, I'm not going to get into some of those videos. It was a problem at the time. But it is what it is at the end of the day. But, yeah, you know, this live stream here is really just to sit back and say, Greg Roman's gone, let's celebrate, but let's not pretend like he was the worst offensive coordinator the Ravens have ever had, because that's not the case. That's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. They were only there because of Greg Roman. Sure they were, buddy. Sure they were. It wasn't the talent of the other coaches or Lamar himself. It was because of Greg Roman. That's cool, bro. But, yeah, Greg Roman, he wasn't a terrible offensive coordinator. I don't think he was complete garbage. And at the end of the day, no matter how you feel about him, I'm glad he's gone. All of us are very excited that he's gone because it means the offense can definitely open up and we can get somebody here that actually knows how to run a competent passing scheme. But we cannot forget what he did bring to us in 2019. And you know, there were certain moments that yeah, that's great, Thunder. That's cool. We'll be fine without him, though. But, yeah, sure, he's the greatest coordinator of all time. We're only there because of Greg Roman. No one else, but, you know, glad to see you trolling at 9:53 p.m. Or you're serious, which in that case, I can't take you serious as a football person. Like a football fan, I can't take you serious with a take like that. But, hey, you're entitled to your opinion. But, yeah, there were some great moments that I feel we do have to look at here. And, these are definitely some of the things that I want to showcase. Obviously, no matter what you want to say, 2019, the Ram game, I'm not actually going to play the audio for this because, you know, copyright situations. But, like, for the most part, there were some moments that we can definitely look at. You had the Rams game, which, by the way, this was such a fun game. This is easily one of the funnest games we ever got to have, going up against LA on Monday Night Football, and Lamar throwing 5 touchdowns. It was a good moment. It was a good time. We got to sit back. We got to enjoy. We got to celebrate. It was a good time. The offense was flowing. The offense was moving, and you were doing a lot of things at the time. By the way, Lamar just read this perfectly and just threw this ball up the seam. Hollywood Brown was just streaking up the seam. No one covered him. It was a perfect throw, perfect execution. But, you know, during that time, things were definitely working for us in 2019. And, of course, if you guys remember, the Jets gave it a mouth part. Obviously, we have the Miami game, which I didn't feel the need to show the Miami game because everybody talks about the Miami game, where he threw 5 touchdowns and aired it out. We know what he did. That was what started off the party. And, of course, we remember the great run against Cincinnati when we destroyed them 49-10. Those were good times, and the offense was flowing. You also get the Jets game here. You get this moment here. I mean, game's pretty much over, but at this point, they were just having fun and doing whatever the hell they wanted to do. This is a beautiful throw from Lamar Jackson to Seth Roberts here with the touchdown to put them up 35-7. But, yeah, we were having some good moments. We were having some fun times, and things were going well. Things were going very well at that time, you know. Everything seemed to be working well given the certain circumstances we were dealing with. But, you know, everything was good. And when we got into the 2020 season, even though I was starting to wane on my opinion with Greg Roman, I still felt we could give him a chance. And when you look at week one really looked like it could be a moment where we're going to see the deep passing game get more extended. You know, you're watching a play like this, Lamar getting it down the field to Hollywood. This is in week 1. We end up completely destroying the Cleveland Browns in this game. And it's just like things pretty much went well given the circumstances, and it's just we loved what we were seeing at the time. We loved what we were seeing at the time. There's Lamar just being Lamar and doing his thing at the end of the day. You just weren't going to stop Lamar from being Lamar at the end of the day. You know, the funny thing about it is in this game, yeah, they went like 95-plus yards on this drive, and it was fun just seeing Lamar make those throws that we all believed he could make and just checking the ball down and making the right plays. And it was great. It was definitely great for the most part, and you just loved what you were seeing. You know, some of the progression here, just being able to make those throws. Lamar just being Lamar, you know, at this week, I remember week 1 of the 2020 season, we were like, okay, if the offense could be a whole lot more like this, we're going to be better than we were last year. And Lamar started off the party just being accurate and just doing everything right. I believe he completed 75 or 80% of his passes in this game, and he just looked accurate, and he was just doing his thing, you know. For the most part, he was just doing his thing. And things were vibing and things were just going the right way. But obviously, as that season went on, the offense just started to deteriorate. And by the time we got to the Bills game in the division round, that passing game was pathetic. And then you got to 2021, and things just did not work out. The offense was never in sync at all there. So, it was unfortunate. Then you get to 2022 here, and you start off with the Jets game where things start off slow for the most part, but then we're slowly thinking, okay, maybe this offense can get it together. People came into this year, even if you're a Greg Roman hater, you're like, okay, we don't trust in Greg Roman, but if he can get it together this year now that the team's healthy, you might be able to get something going. And for the most part, that was kind of the mindset that some of us at least had at the time. And we were hopeful. We were legitimately hopeful that something could come from that. But, we still weren't sure. And, of course, this obviously is the play that hurt everyone the most because this was the best play of the season. I don't care what you want to say. That deep ball to Rashad Bateman, I never forgot that play. And I was very hopeful that this offense could be more like that. Unfortunately, the offense would deteriorate and then injuries would come up again and we would never get back to this point again. And it was unfortunate. It was definitely unfortunate. Have you ever watched football? No, bro. I've never watched football a day in my life. I was upset when we lost to the Titans in the division round. We all were upset. We were definitely upset. And yeah, the Patriots game, that was the game that put us on the map where people were like, okay, maybe Baltimore could really end up becoming a contending team. So we can end up doing some special things here. I'm just saying we could really end up doing some special things here. But it never really got to the point where we wanted it to be at the end of the day. Which at the end of the day, it is what it is. For the most part, Greg Roman's gone now, so you kind of just have to take it as it is, and you move on. You move on for the most part, and you just sit back and you say, okay, this is just how things are. It's all cool. He's gone. But, there was some good moments with Greg Roman. However, there was more bad than good, and I'm glad he's gone at the end of the day. But, yeah, we did have some great moments. There was some moments where there was some flashes where you saw that. And, of course, there was some moments where he was doing some positive things, but it never came into fruition at the end of the day. So it is what it is when it comes to that. But, yeah, Greg Roman is officially gone. We no longer have to worry about this guy being here. We can look to move forward, and we'll see how things go. Now, when you look at the future, we got to talk about who's up next for the Ravens. Greg Roman is gone. He's gone. Who's going to take his place? That's all I got to say. Greg Roman is gone. Who's going to take his place? Who is going to be the next offensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens? Well, at least according to what the Ravens have said, Lamar Jackson is going to be involved in the decision or in choosing of a new offensive coordinator. They also said they're going to look internally and externally for a new offensive coordinator, and they're going to try to make a decision. But there's definitely some candidates that people should be on the lookout for because there's some great guys that they should get out there. And I believe if the Ravens look for some of these guys and they can get them, you're going to be in a good position to be able to really turn this whole situation around and get the offense to where we want it to be. So, yeah, I mean, me personally, I legitimately hope we can get the right guys there because, man, we could sure use the right guys, man. We need to be able to make those changes for the most part. But, yeah, we do have some candidates that the Ravens could look to get at the end of the day, and it all depends on how things can go. Now, obviously, Lamar is going to be involved in the process, and I don't exactly know how things are going to go in that aspect. But in terms of a new offensive coordinator, you got to get somebody in here that can implement a legitimate NFL-style passing scheme. Because what Greg Roman was running was not good. It was not good at all. Now, if I was to be honest here, knowing the Ravens and knowing how John Harbaugh is, they're going to do everything internally. The fact that he said we're going to look internally and externally means most likely they're going to look internally. Me personally, if you're really going to make these changes, you need to be serious about making these changes. Don't hire from inside. When we were talking about T. Martin and Keith Williams, we were speaking about that in terms of the regular season. There are plenty of good coaches you can go look for. I wouldn't look at T. Martin and Keith Williams to be the next guy for you. I'm not doing that. We were talking about that being in season. I wouldn't want either one of those guys to be my offensive coordinator, especially since there's a lot of great candidates you can go out and look for. For one, we've discussed it throughout the season. Eric Bieniemy. Eric Bieniemy has been one of the main guys talked about by many Ravens fans. If they can come and take him, if they can take him from Kansas City and bring him here to be offensive coordinator, that'll be good. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people will sit back and say, well, why would Eric Bieniemy want to come here just to be the offensive coordinator if he's the offensive coordinator of Kansas City? Well, here's the thing. The Ravens at some point know that changes need to be made at the top. And when it comes to that specific area at the top I'm talking about, we're talking about the head coaching position. I do not think this man, John Harbaugh, is going to be here in 5 years. At some point, you're going to have to look for a guy that could potentially be his replacement. So I feel if the Ravens are genuinely serious about making some changes and improving the offensive, the passing scheme, you got to look for an offensive coordinator that knows what he's doing. He knows how to get receivers involved. He knows how to get the passing game going. He knows how to scheme for receivers and really work well with the quarterback. You got to bring a guy that's so good that he could end up being the offensive coordinator moving forward. Because I think the Ravens have to start thinking, listen, John's been here for 15 years. At some point, we got to look for our replacement in the near future. Bring in an offensive coordinator that has the potential to be your next head coach. Eric Bieniemy is one of those guys that has the potential of being the next head coach of the Baltimore Ravens if they were to look to bring him in. Because I don't see Andy Reid going anywhere in Kansas City. And this guy wants a head coaching job. I feel like he's more likely to get that head coaching job here in Baltimore because I don't think John Harbaugh is going to be here in the long term. So Eric Bieniemy is definitely one of the people to look at. I think another person is Brian Leftwich. Brian Leftwich from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's another guy that has the potential to be head coach material. I would love to see him become the next offensive coordinator because we saw what he was able to do with Brady, a non-mobile quarterback. We saw the highs of that offense. If you can bring him here and get Lamar some weapons, that guy is going to, he knows how to scheme for the receivers. He knows how to scheme a great passing game. Bringing Leftwich in would be a huge benefit to Lamar, the receivers, and this passing game as a whole. So Eric Bieniemy would definitely be one of the candidates. Brian Leftwich will be another one of the candidates. Another guy I would look towards is Frank Wright, because Frank Wright, he's so good that he obviously deserves another head coaching position. He would do well as our offensive coordinator, and it would be a great way to set him up to be the next head coach. I think that would be great. I feel that if Baltimore is looking to make those changes to truly improve as a passing game and get to where they want to be with their offense, they have to start looking at the guys that have that experience and really know how to build up a passing game and scheme for wide receivers to be open and scheme for plays for certain receivers and scheme to make things easier in the passing game and easier easier on the quarterback. The pass game specialist for the 49ers. Yeah, I would look at the pass game specialist for the 49ers. I would look at the quarterback's coach or for the Eagles or the passing game coordinator for the Eagles. There's a lot of guys you could try to bring in and give them an opportunity. I think there's plenty of people on that list that they can look for. What I'm hopeful of is that the Ravens will look externally instead of internally. I don't want no T. Martin or Keith Williams to be the next offensive coordinator. Look outside your inner circle. Go out and get one of those guys because you have to be thinking moving forward in terms of the future. You have to be thinking John Harbaugh may not be here long term. We need to get an offensive coordinator that we feel comfortable enough in saying that he has the potential to be the next head coach if we choose to move on from Harbaugh within the next couple of years. So they have to look for a guy like that, a guy that knows what he's doing in the passing game. And if he can prove that he can evolve this passing game and get it to new heights that we've never seen it before, then I honestly believe they could look towards making him the head coach in the coming years. So I think that is the next move for them here. Now, we'll see if that ends up coming to fruition, but, with Baltimore, you can never fully trust them. They'll say one thing, but a lot of times they like to do their things their own way, so I don't know if that will end up being the case here. I hope it's not the case that they'll just choose to promote T. Martin or Keith Williams, because that would be awful. But, it could end up being the case. It could very well end up being the case. And I hope that's not the case, but that could be one of the possibilities that we deal with in the coming days. So I'm hopeful that they'll go and find someone else. Now, for me personally, I feel that when it comes to choosing who the next offensive coordinator should be, I feel that you're going to have multiple people involved with that. Obviously, they said Lamar's going to be involved. Harbaugh's going to be involved. DeCosta's going to be involved. So I feel like you should have most people, like the major guys, involved with it. However, it shouldn't be one person making the major decisions, specifically John Harbaugh. If you look at the guys John Harbaugh's brought in, it hasn't exactly worked out in terms of the success they're looking for. Roman's probably the most successful out of all the guys he brought in, and that still hasn't amounted to anything in the postseason. So it amounted to a historical regular season, but nothing really to show in the postseason. A lot of losses, if you want to point to that, during the Greg Roman era. So I feel that John Harbaugh shouldn't be the person to look at when it comes to this. The quote-unquote best offensive coordinator we've had hasn't really had much success here, and that's Greg Roman. He hasn't had much success here in the postseason, and we're trying to get in the postseason and have success there. Now, the funny part about it is, when it comes to who you would look at and say was the most successful, like outside of Roman, who's the most successful offensive coordinator in Baltimore? Easy, Gary Kubiak. Gary Kubiak, up until Greg Roman came, Gary Kubiak led the offense to new heights with Flacco in 2014. And because of what Gary Kubiak was able to do, because of what he was able to do, the offense was able to play at a high level for much of the season. Obviously, there was some lows because Flacco and the offense just didn't execute in some of those moments. But Gary Kubiak was a great offensive coordinator, and I loved what he brought to the table. He was so good. And then we got into the playoffs, and unfortunately, we lost in the divisional round. And you saw how the offense played in the divisional round. You saw how they played in the wild card round against Pittsburgh. You saw how they played in the divisional round against New England. That offense was great. That was the product of Gary Kubiak. And we legitimately were effective in what we did. All he did was run and do play action. It wasn't just specifically that. It was a balance between the running game and the passing game. And the schemes that he ran, it worked very efficiently, especially with Steve Smith Sr. If you look at what he was able to do with Steve Smith Sr., Steve Smith Sr. was a veteran at that point, and he was at the end of his career, but we knew that was a guy that could get that done. And Torrey Smith was doing some things in between the season, but a lot of things he ran for Steve Smith Sr. was really effective. It was really effective. Gary was only here for 1 year. How can you go off of that? You have to he was here for 1 year. You have to look at what he did in that 1 year. That 1 year, the entire season he was here, he was effective. The entire season he was here, his offense was effective. Gary Kubiak was so good that he left, went to Denver, and won a Super Bowl the following year. So if you're trying to sit back and say Gary Kubiak wasn't good, so it's not a fluke. Gary Kubiak was so good, he left here, went to Denver the following year, and won a Super Bowl. And we all sat back and said we should have never let him go. We saw how the offense looked in the postseason against Pittsburgh and New England. We saw how they were effective against those defenses. They let him leave. He went to Denver and won a Super Bowl. 2015 Peyton? 2015 Peyton? You mean the 2015 Peyton that was broken down and could barely throw? Don't do that. He was saving them with Brock Osweiler. They looked like at times they could have missed the playoffs. They were really waning. They didn't really have much of a chance when Brock Osweiler was their quarterback, and they were still able to be effective. You're trying to downplay what Gary Kubiak did, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. The man legitimately left this team when he was successful with that offense that entire year, went to an entirely different team. They won a Super Bowl. They won a Super Bowl. With a broken down Peyton Manning, they still found a way to. He was working with a broken down Peyton Manning and he was winning game with Brock Osweiler. And you're telling me he's not a good offensive coordinator. Brock Osweiler, he was winning games with that guy. And you're trying to convince me he's not a good offensive coordinator. You probably have a vendetta against him, or you just didn't like what you saw from him when he was here. But that guy was a damn good offensive coordinator. I'm not saying he was top 5 or anything. I never said that. But in terms of what the Ravens have had at offensive coordinator, he's easily at the top. The 1 year he was here, literally, go look at Joe Flacco's career numbers. He had his career year with Gary Kubiak on the offense. Justin Forsett had a career year in this offense in 2014. You're trying to take away from that. I'm not giving Gary no props for a basic run game and passing on the fake and the run. It was what we asked from Greg. It wasn't anything special. It was more than that. Go look at the scheming. I'm serious. Go back and take a look at the footage. You're breaking it down at the most basic of premise. There was more to that. Go back and look at the schemes. Go back and look at how the running game was, how he was setting up the running game and how effective it was in setting up the play action passing. You're trying to take away from what Gary Kubiak was able to do. There's a reason why they put up career highs with that offense. You're trying to take away from it, and you're simplifying it. And then you're going to ignore the fact that he was able to be successful here, went to Denver the following year, and won a Super Bowl. Just say you weren't a fan of Gary Kubiak's schemes, but you're trying to take away from what he did. What did Justin Forsett do after 2014? What did Justin Forsett do after 2014? A lot of running backs thrive with the Ravens. What did Justin Forsett do after 2014? What did before Justin Forsett got injured in 2014, what did he do after Gary Kubiak left? Did he ever reach the highs of 2014 past that year? He was good before the Ravens. I said afterwards. What did he do after Gary Kubiak left? Bro, you just say you just don't like Gary Kubiak's schemes. It's cool. It's cool, bro. You don't like Gary Kubiak's schemes, that's fine. But the numbers are there, and his resume's there. You don't like Gary Kubiak's style, you don't like his scheme, that's cool, bro. That's cool. I'm just saying, you don't like his scheme. It's as simple as that. You don't like his schemes. Even though they were effective, the Ravens were able to put career highs in numbers with this dude. Flacco had a career year and became a Pro Bowler alternate for the first time in his career under this dude's offense. They all gave praise for what he did. He left Baltimore, went to Denver, and won a Super Bowl, and you don't want to give him credentials. It's simple. You're not a fan of Gary Kubiak. Ray Rice was a shit. That meant Cam Cameron was good too. Ray Rice was still good past Cam Cameron. He was still good past Cam Cameron. When Jim Caldwell was there, Ray Rice was still Ray Rice. That was just a talented player. And then in 2013, before the incident happened, Ray Rice was still Ray Rice. So, you're kind of just taken away from what he's doing. It's fine, dude. I'm not fully sitting on the bat for Gary Kubiak. I was just presenting what he did that year. You're not a fan of Gary Kubiak. It's cool, bro. You're not a fan of Gary Kubiak. It's cool, bro. Kubiak was a threat to Harbaugh's job. Anyone that was a threat to Harbaugh's job at the time wasn't going to be looked at. Compared to the other offensive coordinators we've had, he's very high up there. We don't have a lot of great offensive coordinators in the history of the Ravens. That's just there. It's just there. Legitimately, we do not have... Was Cam Cameron still good? No, look at what he did with the passing game. Look how complacent he played. The passing game on the Cam Cameron was conservative. We didn't move the ball down the field. Even Flacco talked about it. They played too conservative. That's why they got rid of him. They were too conservative with the offense they were running in the passing game. The running game was still the running game. Ray Rice was still a beast, but they were way too conservative in the passing game, which is a big part of why they said we can't work with Cam Cameron moving forward. We went to Jim Caldwell. That's when they started being aggressive and moving the ball down the field a little bit more. So that's just what it was. Like I said, it's okay to agree to disagree. I'm just giving you the numbers. You're acting like Gary Kubiak was terrible. This man's resume is there. The Ravens put up career-high numbers on offense. Flacco had a career year under this guy's system. The guy leaves Baltimore, goes to Denver, and wins a Super Bowl. And you're saying he's not good? I didn't say he was great. I didn't say he was top 5 offensive coordinator. I just said the dude's pretty damn good. You don't think he's good? You think he's awful? The man leads an offense to their career highs, leads a quarterback to their career highs, and then goes on to win a Super Bowl the following year. Wasn't the best, though. Where was he before Texas? Bro, you're going to mention the Texans? When Matt Schaub was his quarterback. Stop this, bro. Come on. All right, let's just agree to disagree. I'm supposed to sit back here and believe that. Let's just agree to disagree, bro. Let's just agree to disagree. You're not a fan of Gary Kubiak. I'm not going to bat. I didn't say he was my favorite offensive coordinator. I just said the year he was here in Baltimore, he was great. Or he was really good the year he was here in Baltimore. And consider the fact that we've had a lot of offensive coordinators. The bar isn't high for offensive coordinators for the Ravens. He's one of the best. If you've looked at the previous offensive coordinators, the bar isn't high. So it's not that difficult. Gary Kubiak, the year he was here, they put up career-high numbers. It's as simple as that. So, I'm not sitting here and saying he's a top 5 offensive coordinator. I'm not this huge Gary Kubiak fan. I'm just giving you the situation. I never said the man was great. I said he was good the year he was here. He wound up winning in Denver. And considering the fact we've had a lot of terrible offensive coordinators before and after that, Gary Kubiak that one year still stands out. And had they not choked that lead in New England, they would have gone to the AFC Championship game under this guy's offense. But again, you're not a fan of his. We don't have a high bar. You're not a fan of it, bro. It's cool. I'm not here to go to bat for Gary Kubiak.
I don't even really. It's not like he's my favorite offensive coordinator. I'm not here to go to bat for the guy. I was just pointing out that 1 year. You have a personal vendetta against him. It's clear as day. You got a personal vendetta against him. I'm not here to go to the bat for him. Someone that's a full-on Gary Kubiak fan, that's cool. He's not my favorite offensive coordinator, so I'm not going to bat for him. I was just pointing out the year he played here. He was here as 2014. We saw what the offense was able to accomplish. All I'm saying is that he was good among trash offensive coordinators. Okay. And we've had trash offensive coordinators. So what are you trying to say? I didn't say the man was great. Notice how I never said he was great. I said he was good compared to what we've had here. And then he went to Denver and he was good there compared to what they were having there previously. Never once called the man great. You got a personal vendetta against him? I'm going to leave it at that, bro. Let me go to some of these other comments. What do you think about Brian Johnson as for offensive coordinator? I think that'd be a solid fit. I wouldn't have an issue with it. Would like to see how he's going to evolve the passing game, but you have to give him some weapons. But I wouldn't have a problem with it. Honestly, I wouldn't have a problem with it for the most part. So, dude, what would you think of Bobby Slowick, the passing game coordinator of the Niners? I would have no problem with that. Anything you could take from the Niners, I would be all for it. Give me someone from the Niners, I would be all for it. I would like the passing coordinator from the Eagles, too. There's a lot of people on my list. If we kept Gary Kubiak, we would have won at least 2 Super Bowls. Hey, go off to jail, bro. He said we would have won 2 Super Bowls if we kept Gary Kubiak. I ain't saying nothing like that. That's an interesting perspective, but I ain't saying nothing like that. But yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with either the Niners or the Eagles passing coordinators. I think they'd be great. I would have no issues with either one of them. That's just how it is. Adam Gase is the new coordinator. No, I don't want Adam Gase anywhere near Baltimore. As an honest Steelers fan, I think the Ravens should get Greg Roman back. It's a mistake for letting someone of his caliber go. That's why I just wanted to make sure I specified that as an honest Steelers fan, you think the Ravens should get Greg Roman back. Listen, just because you guys didn't get rid of Matt Canada doesn't mean we shouldn't get rid of our offensive coordinator. I understand you want both franchises to suffer. If you got to suffer, your rival got to suffer. Have fun with Matt Canada. Maybe they'll let him go next season. That's not my fault. So that's just how it is. Brian Leftwich. Yeah, I think I had my 3 would be Brian Leftwich, Eric Bieniemy, Frank Wright. Those are the 3 I'm looking at right now because those are guys that could potentially take over as a head coach in the near future if Baltimore was looking to move on from Jar Harbaugh within the next couple of years. I feel like our O-line and running backs can make up. He's downplaying in the runs game. Again, with the talent we have in the running game, I'm fine. We got to get someone that can fix this passing for the most part. So that's just how it is for the most part in terms of fixing up the offense. I'm fine with anyone at the end of the day. Matt Schaub had great seasons with Gary. Yeah, he did. I mean, they were able to get to the playoffs. And Matt Schaub is not a good quarterback. Ah, man. What they had to deal with a lot of stuff there. But it is what it is. But there are several people that you could look at that could possibly take that role, and I wouldn't be mad with some of the picks they get here as long as it's external. I don't want them to pick from inside the organization. I just don't think that's a good idea. I want someone new. Jim Caldwell was the best offensive coordinator. Well, you won a Super Bowl with him as your offensive coordinator, so. And he did. I mean, he took over in like week 13, week 14. So I mean, if you want to say he's the best offensive coordinator because they got to the Super Bowl, you can take it. I'm about to watch my reaction to Greg Roman be gone. Have fun with that, bro. That was an interesting video for me. Hope Lamar gets paid like Harbaugh says. I hope that too. Did they say anything about the Lamar situation during the press conference? I didn't see it. Yeah, they said they're devoted to Lamar Jackson. This is the quarterback of the future for them. This is who they want there to be the future. Everything they've been doing in terms of building this team has been for that guy to take over and be that guy for them. So they're looking to sign him towards a long-term deal. They're looking to get negotiations going as soon as possible, and they want to have him here in the future, and they believe he's going to be the guy. If they can't come to negotiations within the next 2 months, they'll probably have to use a tag because they have 2 months until they have to use that tag.
That's just how it is. So many Ravens fans not wanting them to sign Lamar. That's their problem. A lot of people turned on Lamar this year, and that's their issues. I couldn't give a damn what those Ravens fans have to think. I don't interact with much of the Ravens flock, so I don't care what most of y'all have to say when it comes to this. When it comes to Lamar Jackson and certain issues here, because a lot of y'all are just gonna show your biases and show that you never really were with Lamar or certain people on the team or certain guys on the team. It is what it is. All good then. I was trying to clear it up. I got no issue with the offensive coordinator that barely lasts 2 years. I just don't think highly of anyone John hired or brought up in the staff. Yeah, John didn't hire Gary Kubiak. Ozzie did. Gary Kubiak's one of the few people Ozzie oversaw and brought in. Gary Kubiak was brought in because of and signed as the offensive coordinator because of Ozzie. That was not a John Harbaugh signing, which is a big problem. Which is a big reason as to why the offense was actually able to be effective with that guy, because Ozzie actually knew what he was doing. And if you don't let John pick the offensive coordinator, you'll be relatively fine, because John's gonna pick his friends. Matt Canada is a perfect fit for the Ravens. Nah, he's even a better fit in Pittsburgh. I think in Pittsburgh, he's perfect for you guys. You guys are going to win so much with Matt Canada. I'm so happy for you Steelers fans. Matt Canada's perfect. Kenny Pickett, man. Ooh, man. And you know George Pickens? Man, George Pickens must love being in that offense with Matt Canada. Oh, man, Matt Canada's doing so much for Pittsburgh. Why ruin a good thing? You guys were already killing it so far. Good thing Lamar's going to have a say in who he wants. Absolutely. I hope we get someone from the Chiefs staff. Eric Bieniemy would definitely be one of the main guys I would love to see. What about Bobby Petrino? Bobby Petrino doesn't seem like he wants to leave college to come back to the pros, so I don't see that happening. And Lamar knows Bobby Petrino. That would be a great fit, but I don't see him leaving leaving from his coaching college job to come to the pros. It doesn't seem like he wants to come back to the NFL after what happened so long ago. He's perfectly fine in college. And Eric Bieniemy, I'm perfectly fine with him. Watch the fans get mad at our offensive coordinator selection, even though Lamar is going to be the one who chooses him. Honestly, after the whole Greg Roman situation, no one's going to have a problem with it, at least not immediately. So we'll see. I wish Greg would have stayed as a running back coach. That was never going to happen. No one's going to be demoted and stay in that same job. If you were working a higher job and then they demoted you out of nowhere, yeah, or demoted you because of a certain situation, they said, yeah, we don't want to pay you this much. We don't want you to be this position. You're going to go to a lower position. You're not going to stick around for that job. As a Ravens fan, I'm glad Kenny Pickett is a Steelers quarterback. I'm going to let y'all have that. I ain't going to go at that. Greg Roman is holding this offense back. Look at how his passing concepts. Look, Greg Roman is holding this offense back. Look at his passing concepts. They are all bunched up together. Yeah, it's been like that for years, even before his time in Baltimore. That's just how it is. It is what it is. You guys, you'll be fine with Matt Canada. Just figure it out. I'm just saying. You figure it out, bro. You'll figure it out. You'll be fine. What do you think about Lamar Jackson having an input with the offense coordinator? I'm fine with it. I love him having an input with the offense coordinator. Lamar knows what he's looking for. So I think that's the perfect situation for him to be in. And I'm perfectly fine with that at the end of the day. I'm perfectly fine with that. You can't deny Greg's run philosophy. He just can't call plays to save his life. Yeah, his running philosophy isn't terrible, but it's all good. Raven C, what's going on, bro? Appreciate you stopping by. I know you're happy about Greg Roman being gone. Know that you were definitely happy about Greg Roman being gone. Never heard that one. Yeah, Gary Kubiak was never a selection by John Harbaugh. It was by Ozzie. You can look it up to make sure. It was by Ozzie. Ozzie brought Gary Kubiak. And the offensive coordinator that John Harbaugh's brought in hasn't exactly been the most successful. I guess the most successful offensive coordinator he brought in or personally made his offensive coordinator would be, of course, Greg Roman. And that meant an MVP season for Lamar, but in one playoff one, I guess. But that's the most success we've gotten from a guy that Harbaugh's brought in. Like Cam Cameron didn't really do much. Well, then again, Cam Cameron, I guess you could look at Cam Cameron and say he would definitely count as that. But, you know, you could look between Roman and Cameron. One of those are definitely his most successful offensive coordinators. It is what it is at the end of the day. No way Bieniemy is going to go from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator. Why would he leave Andy Reid and Mahomes? See, this is what you're missing, Lewis. And I was speaking on this. A lot of us Ravens fans believe that John Harbaugh is going to be gone soon. So this is something that you can work out here. If it was to be a situation where it looks like they're going to move on from a head coach, here's what you can do. If the Ravens actually do plan to move on from John Harbaugh, like some of us are speculating, at least in the near future, bringing in Eric Bieniemy wouldn't be impossible because you would be setting up Eric Bieniemy to take over as the head coach. Maybe next season he would have to be the offensive coordinator, but you're setting him up to take John Harbaugh's role, and that's exactly the type of mindset we're hopeful that Eric DeCosta is having, or at least Steve Bisciotti or somebody at the top is having. John Harbaugh's been here for 15 years. It may be time for him to slowly start moving away. That's just how the case is. If that was to be the mindset that maybe John obviously wouldn't have that, but if Eric DeCosta was to have or Steve Bisciotti would have, then you would want to bring in a guy that's going to be set up to be the future head coach of this team. And maybe, but that's what Bieniemy is doing with the Chiefs right now. Reid is older than Harbaugh, though. Andy Reid doesn't look, but here's the thing. Andy Reid, one, doesn't look like he's ready to retire anytime soon. Neither does Harbaugh. It's not about age. It's about how long he's going to be there. Andy Reid doesn't look like he's going to be retiring anytime soon. It looks like he's going to be there at least for the next couple of years. Harbaugh, we're not fully sure about his future because I believe his contract's up in 2023. We're not sure about his future in Baltimore. So it's not about age. It's about how long he's going to be there. Andy Reid's going to be coaching for at least the next couple of years. Harbaugh's future in Baltimore may not be certain within the next year or two. So that's why we're saying it's possible. If the Ravens are looking to move on from Harbaugh, you can bring him in. Unless Andy Reid has guaranteed or told the organization he wants to be here. We sent a Harbaugh last offseason. I believe it was for 2 years. They gave me a 2-year extension. This is year 1. I believe he's done in 2023 or 2024. Either way, it looks like they're looking to move off of him soon. At least that's the speculations we're having because of how certain things have panned out. If that was the case, yeah, within the next year or two, you would need a new head coach. So bringing in Bieniemy or someone, Bieniemy, Leftwich, Frank Reich, guys that could definitely be head coaches, you would want to bring someone in like that at the time and prepare him to potentially be your next head coach. Maybe they got to play as an offensive coordinator a year or two before they can fully take over. It's possible. We've seen that happen before. So that's why we were saying Eric Bieniemy could be that. And it's possible that can happen if the Ravens were to speak on them and tell him about that. And, if they were to be honest with John Harbaugh and prepare him for that transition, it could very well happen. It's not guaranteed, and we're only just making that speculation, but it can definitely happen. No, Leftwich and Reid, I want a young offensive mind. Okay, go get the passing coordinator from the Philadelphia Eagles or go get the passing coordinator from the San Francisco 49ers. Leftwich and Reid are not bad picks. They would definitely be great offensive coordinators in Baltimore. But if you're looking for a younger offensive mind, go look at the Eagles, go look at the Niners, try to take their passing coordinators. That would be a better look for you for the most part. That's just how it is at the end of the day. All of John Harbaugh's selections haven't panned out. Coordinators, draft picks, yeah, that is true. It hasn't exactly worked out in terms of how things have gone. For the most part, I see D-Rob making plays for y'all at times, but I don't miss him necessarily. Yeah, he hasn't really done much for us for much of the season, but it is what it is. If we can get him we can get a new offensive coordinator, maybe he'll be able to thrive. Because in Greg Roman's system, it's not great for the receivers. Pretty sure I read an article from the Ravens and not once did say Ozzie. Yeah, it's been out there. There was other reports that said that too. That Ozzie's the one that ultimately made that decision. There was reports about that. That Ozzie's the one that made the choice for Gary Kubiak, but I mean. I'm not going to go too deep into it here in this video or in this live stream for the most part. But we'll see how things go. About the process of hiring Kubiak, only Steve Bisciotti was highlighted for the most part. Someone definitely said Ozzie was a part of that. And they said it was Ozzie's choice for the most part. It was either Ozzie or Bisciotti, but they did say Ozzie was involved in that. That's either way, it's not a John Harbaugh choice. John Harbaugh did not bring in and choose to make Gary Kubiak his offensive coordinator. So that wasn't a John Harbaugh's pick. The Eagles line is no joke. I mean, yeah, Giants got to be prepared for that. That's just how it is. Even on the touchdown, it looks like he almost fumbled. I mean, it's DeMarcus Robinson. I don't know what to tell you. DeMarcus Robinson has to stop holding the ball like a loaf of bread. Yeah, someone go tell him that. If he's going to be here next year, someone go tell him that for the most part. That's just how it is. It is what it is at the end of the day for the most part. Harbs wants to cement a legacy. He wants to prove he can win a Super Bowl without the guy who had a statue outside the stadium. Good luck with that. We'll see how that goes. Hope T. Martin, Keith, Mike McDonald, James Urban are in-house replacements. Those are the looks for in-house replacements. Well, I mean, McDonald's going to, I don't know. It would probably come down to T. Martin or Keith Williams. Those will be in-house replacements. However, I would prefer them to go outside. I don't want an in-house replacement. I want an external an external pick at offensive coordinator. Keep these guys there at their positions and bring in an offensive coordinator that knows what he's doing in the passing game. And you can have Keith Williams and T. Martin help build on that because they know how to work with receivers and they understand the passing scheme. That's how I feel at the end of the day. So just keep them where they are and get yourself an offense coordinator from outside. But yeah. So that's pretty much what I would have to say about the whole offensive coordinator situation. Now, if we were to look at the offensive coordinator position, what would he do? What would he do? What would he do? What would he do? I've been in the chat for a while. I'm a Steelers fan, and we call your team the Ratbirds. What do you call the Steelers? I personally don't call the Steelers anything, but I'm pretty sure Ravens Flock calls the Steelers the Squealers. Because all you guys do is cry and complain, and we well, that's what we said as a rivalry. You guys cry and complain, and you squeal. So that's why we call you the Squealers. That's at least the name I've heard Ravensflock do. But me personally, I don't call the Steelers the Squealers. I don't really care for certain nicknames. Like even the Bengals, I don't call the Bengals the Bungles. Nah. Like, I don't even know what I would call the Steelers specifically. I legitimately don't know. But the Squealers is definitely a popular one. The Squealers is definitely the one I've heard many Ravens fans use. I just call y'all the Steelers. I don't use those specific nicknames. And with the Bengals, I call them the Bungles. So I don't use those names. But those are definitely the two I know that's been used. The Squealers. The Squealers has definitely been used for you guys. But yeah. When it comes to an offensive coordinator choice, whoever it's going to be, he's going to have to fit into what Lamar Jackson does. Now, here's an interesting thing that was actually out there that kind of showed up today, because Lamar is going to have a say, right, in who his next offensive coordinator is going to be. And I was hearing in these sports shows how, especially, what's it called? The Herd. I saw a clip of that on Twitter as to their reaction to this. Yeah, and a lot of people are still showcasing that they believe that this dude, Greg Roman, made Lamar what he is, and Lamar wouldn't have done anything without Greg Roman. And it's clear as day as to that, at least according to these guys, when honestly, that really isn't the case. And a lot of people just have this certain belief that Lamar wouldn't be able to thrive in another system that's past Roman's, when that really isn't the case. And we've tried to say this 1,000 times, but people just continue to say, nah, Lamar Jackson was made from Greg Roman. He wouldn't have been able to survive in any other scheme. This is the only scheme that works for him. When that's just simply not the case. That's just simply not the case for the most part. So because of this, I kind of saw a tweet about this, at least in terms of Lamar's reaction to a tweet. Because a lot of people said he's not going to be able to survive in the system. And for some reason, we have to constantly remind people that Lamar Jackson ran a pro-style system in Louisville. So because of that, let me switch my screen here. Because of that, I actually have to go on Twitter here. Here is the tweet itself. So someone tweeted out that, let me just get this out here before folks start wrongly discussing the Ravens search for a new offensive coordinator. Lamar Jackson ran a pro-style offense in college at Louisville under Bobby Petrino. And Lamar's reaction to this was first to like the specific post, but also to reply by saying thank you. I don't know how many times we have to tell you guys this. Lamar Jackson ran a pro-style offense. And again, in case you weren't paying attention at all, Lamar Jackson, his rookie year, his offensive coordinator was not Greg Roman. It was Marty Mornhinweg. And they went 6-1, won the division, and made the playoffs. And that was a rookie Lamar. So he has shown to be able to play in other systems. A lot of y'all just seem to take over in year two, because year two is when Lamar Jackson won his MVP. Year two is when he showed up and said, welcome world, I'm Lamar Jackson. I'm going to be an MVP. I'm one of the best players in the game. That's when he had his breakout year. So people seem to forget that before then, Lamar Jackson, 1, was under Marty Mornhinweg in his rookie year, and 2, he ran a pro-style offense in college. And people continue to forget that being the case, which is why they always want to sit back and say Lamar Jackson can only run this system that Greg Roman puts up there, when that's simply untrue. That's simply untrue. If you actually take a look at some of the footage that was there in Louisville, you would see that's not the case. In fact, a lot of times, Lamar Jackson wasn't even running these type of systems that you were seeing with Greg Roman's system. Matter of fact, I do have some plays of some of the touchdown passes that you were seeing from Lamar Jackson during his time in Louisville. I got a whole list of it And because of that, I'm going to show that here for the most part. So if you see, during Lamar's time in Louisville, a lot of time, this was the type of formation he was getting. It was a lot more spread out. These were the type of situations you were getting. It was a lot more spread out. Lamar could spread the ball around, get his receivers involved. Look at that. Look at that right there. I want you to look at that right there so you can see it right here. You see this? These are the type of things the people said Lamar can't throw. Is that not a throw outside the numbers, accurate, over the top, over the shoulder throw to his receiver who's being covered for the touchdown? You guys said he couldn't do that in the pros. You guys said he can't be in an offense that can do that. That was what some of the people were saying out there about Lamar Jackson. But here's a clear example of him doing that. I'm going to run that back again for people to see. Run that back again. You see him in the pocket here. The ball is spread out with his receivers. You look, it was a 3-receiver set. He threw outside the numbers, over the shoulder, with the defender on the receiver. Perfect ball, right there, touchdown. But people said he can't throw outside the numbers. This is what he was doing all the time in Louisville. You want another example? Let's look at another example of Lamar throwing the ball down the field. Again, you can see things are not bunched up here. They're not bunched up here at all. Look at the 2 receivers below down here. Some play action here. He's going to step up and make that play because, someone didn't make the tackle. But look at Lamar throwing the ball down the field in Louisville. Look at his receiver getting open right there. Hit him in stride. Touchdown. Again, these are the things people said he couldn't do. And you weren't seeing a lot of this in Greg Roman's system. This is just the type of thing Lamar Jackson was doing throughout his time in college. And people sat back and said he couldn't do this in the pros. And guess what? Lamar is a better quarterback now than he was when he was doing this back in Louisville. You want another example? Here's your other example right here. Just throwing another one out here. Again, you see how things are spread out, how things are not all bunched up here? Lamar standing in the pocket, reading it. Look. Takes a snap. Look how he's looking towards his left. No one's open. Going through the middle, going to the right. Sees a man open. One-on-one coverage. Outside the numbers. Touchdown. These are the type of things he was doing throughout his entire time at Louisville. You guys said he couldn't do it. Again, he's running a pro-style offense here. Here's another example. I got numbers right here. Here's another example. Again, things are a lot spread out. Lamar Jackson throwing again to the outside. In fact, he threw his receiver open here because he put in a spot where only his receiver can get it. And again, his receiver's covered. He puts it perfectly. Touchdown. These are the type of things people said Lamar Jackson couldn't do. You see how he's doing in this pro-style offense? You see how they're spreading the ball around? You see how they're getting receivers? They're using the entire perimeter of the field? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? You think I'm done? I got another example because people never want to listen. Here we go again. Lamar Jackson standing in the pocket. Look towards his left. Guy wasn't open. Look towards his right. Throw. Again. Covered. Touchdown. Outside the numbers again. You guys said he couldn't throw outside the numbers. He couldn't be accurate there. That's another example. Gonna run that back again. Looks towards his left. Sees that guy's covered. Look towards his right. Someone's open. Takes it. Shoots it. Perfect ball. Touchdown. You guys said he couldn't do that. Think I'm done again? No. Let's look at another one here. Because, again, I have to do this 1,000 times because people won't listen. Look at it again. Over the top. In stride. Look at this. Did you see where the defenders were? This has to be a perfect throw. In stride. Over the top. He ended up throwing a pass like this to Mark Andrews in his rookie year against the Chargers. People said he couldn't do that in the pros. And you're watching how he's doing it in this offense here. This pro-style offense. I got one more for you. Just to really put it in here. One more left for you. Watching it again. You see how it's spread out. He's running this pro-style offense here. He's going to take the snap. Looking. Firing. One-on-one coverage on the outside. Perfect throw. Touchdown. What are we talking about here? This is the type of thing he was doing throughout the entirety of his time in Louisville. But people kept saying he couldn't do it. Also, most of his big run plays came off script. They weren't designed. Yeah, that was just Lamar Jackson being Lamar Jackson. Watch Lamar Jackson win a Super Bowl without Greg Roman. Wouldn't be surprised. Hey, bro, can you look at Wake Forest offense highlights real quick? That's for the offensive coordinator. That's who we need to hire from this past year. Give me a second. Let me see if I can look for that. Give me a second. Let me close this out here. Is this what you're looking for here for the most part? Let me actually see if I can get you back in here. Let me see if I can get you back here just for a quick second here. In terms of, I'm gonna leave it like this just for the most part, but is this it? Like in terms of what you want to see for the most part? Because, like, I can get into this and just see some of the things there in terms of what the offensive coordinator is being able to design here for the most part. The Eagles constructed their team. Oh, that's it? All right, cool. The Eagles constructed their team the way the Ravens should have. Let's get Brian Johnson and trade for Mike Evans. They're going to have to look to do some things here. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But, yeah, I showed you all those clips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different clips. And by the way, all those plays were in the same season. And no, those plays weren't from his Heisman year. So why are you guys saying he can't run a different system? Why can't he run a different offensive scheme? And you guys said he couldn't throw outside the number. I gave you 6 examples of him running a pro-style offense. And within the offense, he's standing in the pocket. He's looking the field, looking down. He's reading the defense, looking downfield, and throwing the ball accurately, in stride, with defenders covering him, throwing it over the top to these receivers. I gave you 6 examples of this man doing it in college. And Lamar Jackson is not the quarterback he's not the quarterback he was at that time. He's much, much better now than he was when he was in college. But he can't work in the different offensive scheme? That's actually going to scheme for the receivers? You sure about that? Are you serious? And he didn't even have great weapons in college. But you don't think it can work out if you give him great weapons and give him an offensive scheme that can pander to the receivers and give them opportunities to be great. You don't think he'll work in a different style offense, more of a spread. Really, you don't think he can? Like seriously, good stuff. It's amazing that none of the sports shows have these clips. It's funny how they don't have these clips. Because honestly, again, if you look at all these clips, you will see Lamar Jackson can throw perfectly outside the numbers in a different scheme. They want to keep blaming him for these receivers not being able to get open because they're in a terrible scheme that's causing them to constantly bunch into each other. But Lamar's supposed to somehow throw the football when they're not using the whole perimeter of the field. Everything's all bunched up in Baltimore, but you saw it right here. My God. But yeah, I'm going to take a look at some of these highlights. I'm probably going to play like maybe the first 2 minutes of this. Because someone said we should take a look at this in terms of how we could run this with Lamar Jackson here for the most part. I mean, for the most part in the running, obviously, this is something similar to what we can do here. I do like getting the quick throws involved. I think we got to start utilizing the speed on this team. As the quicker you can execute plays, the better. That's kind of a dangerous throw right there. But that's more the decision-making of the quarterback. Everything's quick and coming out of his hand. I'm fine with that. Getting the ball out of your hands quickly. Quick reads here, easy reads. That's just a quarterback sneak that just didn't work out, but it is what it is at the end of the day. They're doing some things that we were okay with the running game. They're doing something similar to some of the things we're seeing, but in the passing game, I'm a little bit interested in seeing. Okay, he held onto that ball. That was a hell of a fake right there. I'll give him that because it really looked like the running back was just looking for some slow. That was a hell of a fake right there because he held onto that for so long and started moving with them. That was a nice fake. But they're utilizing some slants here. That's some good things to see. A little bit more spread out here. But they're running the ball on this play here, so that's pretty good. Want to see how they do in some of these passing situations. This one he's just taking off. There's nothing there. But because things are more spread around, there was something open up here. So, yeah. But here's the passing game. You're getting some quick throws here. I'll say this. The offense itself, there's a lot of options to get the ball out quickly. They do have some check down, some easy throws right there to get the ball out of the quarterback's hands quickly here, which I do like. I do like for the most part. Yeah, and then that's a check down. Okay, you got to catch that ball right there. But that's a check down right there. No one was really open at that time. And pressure was coming. He got the ball out quickly. And again, these holds, normally you just don't do that. I'm not going to lie. Normally you just don't do that. And with Lamar, we're not going to hold the ball that long because we play fast tempo. So I wouldn't think we're going to be doing something like this for the most part. But yeah, I am relatively I'm relatively, it's a lot of quick throws here, which again, I would like to see some of that incorporated here. That's a nice throw to the outside. putting it high so only the receiver can get it. But they are a little bit more spread out here. And it's interesting how they hold on to the ball like that. Like, I don't think you could actually really do that consistently in the pros because there's way too many fast guys that would get to you quickly. But I do like some of the fakes. It is an interesting mix up there. Okay, do that too high. I don't know. He couldn't put that perfectly over the top there. But yeah, nothing there. I'll say this. If you put more of a spread offense, Lamar Jackson's definitely going to have an opportunity to try and take off. Let me see how this drive finishes. Doing relatively nice. I wouldn't... Did he get in? Nah, he didn't get in. It is interesting. Okay, now he's in. But yeah, I see some things here. In terms of the quick throw element, I'm not necessarily... I could see that being incorporated. I could definitely see that incorporated for the most part. Lamar can adapt to any offense because he's a dual threat quarterback. Yep. Watch University of Tennessee's offense highlights. Look how fast they play. They play up tempo. Imagine Lamar in a scheme like that. Yeah, playing up tempo. I've always said this. We've had one of the fastest, if not the fastest, quarterbacks in football. Why do we play so slow? It made no sense. Lamar has top 2 quickest release, can throw 70 yards every arm, ankle, and good decision maker. Yeah, like Lamar. There's so much you can do with Lamar, and I'm hopeful that the Ravens really understand that and start looking for a guy that's going to help out with that. Comparing any offense at college should be taken with a large grain of salt because the windows are so much tighter in the NFL. Yeah, like I was seeing here, with the way they were holding on to some of these fakes with the football, I'm sitting there saying, yeah, no, that just wouldn't work in the NFL because there's too many guys that are going to get to the quarterback and running back so quickly. So the long hold and the long fakes that they do here to get the passing it, you just couldn't do that in the pros. That's just, you couldn't do it in the pros. People can counter with, but that's college, totally different. They'll say that, but there's some things you could take away from college and add to your schemes that can work. And honestly, with the way we've played our offense has been worse than most college offenses, so it really wouldn't matter to me. Tennessee had the best offense in college football before their starting quarterback got injured. Watch their highlights. I'll be sure to look at it afterwards. I got a stack on the Eagles this week. Man, the Giants could really ruin that for you. The Giants could legitimately ruin that for you. The Giants could really ruin that for you. Remember how Spurrier's spread system got the Commanders quarterback murdered all season because how bad the protection was against NFL defenses? Yeah, I mean, some of these things that you're going to run, these gaps close quickly in the league. So some of these fakes that I'm seeing that was happening in this video, I just don't think it would be able to work out in the pros. See, that's what I said about Wake's offense. They do that fake for too long. It wouldn't work in the pros. Yeah, it's too much. Luckily for us, with the Ravens, we don't do fakes that long, and no one in the league does fakes that long. It just wouldn't work in the pros. It can work in college football, but in the pros, with the top-tier pass rushers getting to you so quickly, that's just a waste of a down. Yeah, it's a mesh spread concept. Remember, FSU is way better and bigger and faster than Wake Forest as well. That is true. It baffles me because we can go from 2019, which was prime, to the situation we're in now. Well, again, Greg Roman's offensive schemes have a certain time limit, okay? After a while, it's not going to work. Lamar can't adapt to every system. I could never see him being able to properly run Kyle Shanahan's system. Well, first of all, I don't know if every quarterback can adapt to every single system, like every possible system. You're not going to run Brady in our system, let's be honest. Yeah, you think Brady's going to be running RPOs here and taking off with quarterback draw plays? No. So no quarterback can adapt to every single system. But to most systems, or at least a good chunk of systems you see in the NFL, they should be able to adapt. And with Shanahan's personnel and mindset on offense, I believe he can come up with a system that will work perfectly for Lamar. If Lamar was on the Niners, I wouldn't have a problem. I think anybody can play in Shanahan's system. I honestly believe anybody can play in Shanahan's system because they're able to adapt. They are really able to adapt in certain situations. Shanahan's good at that. Go get Bobby Slowick and watch this offense rise. We'll see what they look to go get. I wouldn't mind any of these other young guys they go out there and get. But it depends on that. Yeah, that's why Purdy looks good. Purdy is in the cat seat because that offense has so much weapons and they can attack you in so many different fashions, and the scheme they run is really good. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Anyway, for the most part, this has been fun. I wanted to see, how long am I here? Good God, I've been here for 2 hours. I was supposed to be here for an hour and stretch it to an hour and a half, but I've been here for nearly 2 hours. So this has been fun. I was actually able to go through everything I wanted to talk about. I was able to show some of my older videos in terms of my opinion on Greg Roman. I got into some of the good moments of Greg Roman's offense during the time he was here. And then we got into Lamar Jackson and the type of system he could run. I would love, with Lamar Jackson having input, he knows what type of system he wants to run. So with him having that input, I hope they put him more in a spread system. I feel like that would be best for him and his receivers. And I feel like that would work effectively and efficiently with them. I don't know what type of system they're going to run, but I think he could definitely work in a spread system for the most part. But we'll see. Bro, I can see you working at ESPN. Don't forget the little people. Thanks for the entire season, your dedication. I appreciate that, Kevin. I wouldn't want to work at ESPN, though. I legitimately wouldn't want to work at ESPN. If there's any place I want to work at, I want to work on TNT because I want to be around Ernie, Kenny, Shaq, and Charles. That seems like the funnest sports job in the world. Like, I wouldn't want to work for FS1, although it's better than ESPN, I think, in terms of workplace because you have a little bit more freedom. I definitely wouldn't want to work for ESPN. I would want to work for TNT because, like, if I was on the set of NBA on TNT with the guys, bro, that would be the funnest job. Because I know Charles Barkley's gonna say anything, I'm gonna be laughing in the background. If there was any type of job I would take in sports television, it would have to be in TNT. I don't want to go to ESPN. I don't want to go to FS1. It would be at TNT. I love those guys. That's the funnest job to be at. It just seems like everybody has such a fun time just being there because of those guys. And I would love to work for them if I had the opportunity. But yeah, that's just if I had a choice as to where I would go. I wouldn't want to be on ESPN. There's a lot of things that I do on my channel that wouldn't really fly at ESPN, so it is what it is. And it's not like I'm really bad. I'm relatively tame in terms of the content I put out. But certain things that I would say about certain guys, they just would be like, yeah, you can't really say that. You have to be a lot more professional. Whereas in TNT, they don't really care like that. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Here's to a great or insanely painful offseason. Good night. Appreciate that, George. You have a good night. Getting ready to head out myself. But we'll see. Jackson Smith. I would take D-Hop. If you can give me D-Hop right now, I would take it. Didn't Brian Johnson used to be the offensive coordinator from Florida? I believe he was. Lamar, Debo, McCaffrey would be scary. That is true, but I never want to see that happen unless it was in Baltimore, which that would never be the case. So he would have to be a Niner, which is why I don't want to see that happen. But it would be an interesting thing to see as an NFL fan. As a Ravens fan, I don't want to see that unless they were in Baltimore. Watch Tennessee's offense. It's a fun offense to watch. 2022. That's funny. Come on now, Jacksonville and New York. In terms of what specifically? In terms of Jacksonville and New York for what specifically? In terms of who's going to win their game today, or what do you mean specifically with that? Solid takes, man. It was looking spicy there for a second, but good show. I appreciate you. I need to see who we hire offensive coordinator before I get excited. I'm just glad one domino fell to start. Yeah, who will win? I would love to tell you, Shane, but I cannot reveal my picks yet because I will be making my video for that tomorrow. Tune into the video tomorrow. I'll post it sometime tomorrow about my predictions. But I know the 4 teams I've already picked to get to the championship games. I'm not going to say who they're going to be on this video or in this live stream, but I'll wait until I make that video, which will be coming out sometime tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Live stream all games, I would love to, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to live stream all games. Like, that's 6 hours you're going to be doing, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to live stream all of them. I'm going to... Okay, Kansas City and Jacksonville, I don't know if I'll be able to make that one. I want to live stream the Eagles and Giants. I want to live stream the Niners and Cowboys, and I want to live stream the Bills and the Bengals. So, like, I don't know if I'll be able to get Kansas City and Jacksonville beforehand. If I can, I'll try to do all 4. But if not, it is what it is. I think I will be able to do all 4, but I can't make any promises right now. We'll just have to see how things go this weekend. I'll see how things go for me this weekend, and hopefully I'll be able to live stream all 4. If not, I'm going to get at least 2 of them for the most part. Anyway, guys, this has been fun. This has been entertaining. Greg Roman has officially left the building, and things are looking up for Baltimore. However, Greg Roman leaving was only step 1. We have to see how step 2 through 10 is going to look. So we just completed step 1. What about steps 2 through 10? How are these things going to go? We'll see. Greg Roman's gone. Now your focus is Make sure you get Lamar Jackson signed for a long-term deal. Make sure you get an offensive coordinator that Lamar Jackson is going to like and vibe with and that will be able to help improve this passing game. Make sure you go out this offseason and get some wide receiving talent and some legitimate weapons for Lamar Jackson to throw to. After that, spend your draft picks on maybe getting another wide receiver if you want, just to add to that. Fix up, add to your corner because we don't know what's going to happen with Marcus Peters. Add to your front seven because we don't know what's going to happen with Calais Campbell or Justin Houston. And see what you can do with your draft picks. And then after that, develop, get them to OTAs, minicamp, training camp, and then hopefully by the time we're on the field next season, this offense will look severely better than anything we've seen over these last couple of years. But anyway, it's been 2 hours. I'm going to end the stream here. I appreciate you stopping by. This was a celebration of Greg Roman finally being out of Baltimore. I'm so happy. I'm jealous as a Steelers fan. We still have Canada. I wish you the best of luck, Josh. I really do. But yeah, this has been such a fun stream to just sit back and talk about. It's the first time I've actually gone and used other videos. I hope to do that more, but it's such a hassle to get that set up and do everything there that there's a lot of times where I'm not able to do that. But hopefully I can do that a lot more in the future. Either way, guys, I appreciate this. Greg Roman, thank you for your time in Baltimore. We appreciate what you did in 2019, but I'm glad you're gone. Best of luck in your future endeavors. As for Baltimore, you know the areas you need to focus on getting done. Get it done as quickly as possible and work towards building a team that can truly be title contenders in 2023. With that being said, that is all I got. I appreciate you guys, hanging out and chilling out here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and that's all I got. I'm out of here, man. Peace.